Part 41. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 402. Rudolph the Crucible? Still a little famous? Should we give him face? Wright thought the scene in front of him was absurd. How could a wizard who beats everyone have face? Even if the people from the Wizard Association came to see him, they had to be respectful and stand with their backs bent like cooked shrimps. However, the Phoenix vision just now made him a little unsure. Could he really be the legendary Phoenix Wizard? 50 years is a long time. No matter how powerful a person was 50 years ago, his deeds would become unreal if they were passed down to the present. Wright frowned so deeply that horizontal lines appeared on his forehead, and these horizontal lines even grew on his high forehead, which made his image completely different from the profound and dignified priest. Instead, he looked like a bald villain. When his strength and power reached a certain height, no one paid attention to his image anymore, because everyone who saw him lowered their heads deeply, and the wizard in front of him raised his eyebrows and chin at him, indicating that he should reply quickly. Without wanting to say a word, Wright raised his scepter without any nonsense, and a fierce ray of light came out in anger, rushing straight to Rudolph. This level 6 magic can melt all the power of the apostles. Who knows what the furnace Rudolph is? Wright has never heard of this name. Maybe the level 5 priest in charge of the spread of faith in the northern continent has heard of it. No one reported to him, proving that this name is not worth knowing. As expected, the erosion ray hit Rudolph's chest directly. At such a close distance, he believed that the wizard in front of him had no way to avoid it. The huge blue star power scattered like iron fireworks, and the star power in Rudolph's body suddenly collapsed. His face was visibly pale and sallow, and the star power disappeared in a short period of time, making him extremely weak. The erosion ray did not have the ability to kill directly, it could only make Rudolph's star power disappear. The white demon priest had other magic. Wright waved his hand, and white flames shot out of his hand. This was the legendary sun flame. A hole as big as a bucket was instantly burned in Rudolph's chest. At this time, Rudolph's flesh and blood became combustible. The sun flame continued to burn along the edge of the hole, quickly devouring Rudolph's body. From beginning to end, Rudolph did not resist or dodge. The sun flame quickly burned Rudolph's chest, and his lower body fell to the ground, leaving only his shoulders and head. The sun flame was still burning on the wound, and it was about to burn Rudolph clean. The wizard, who should have been lingering on the ground, shook his head and said before he died, "If you think it through, come and ask me in time. I am a good person to talk to. Goodbye, my friend." Hearing the wizard's words, Wright became even more angry. He was a 6th level priest and the head of the archdiocese. He rarely took action himself. This time he came to eliminate the pirates, but was repeatedly humiliated by the wizard in front of him. Wright was about to strike again to kill the wizard completely, but he saw that the wizard was already dead, with his eyes closed. Golden phoenix fire emerged from his body, and every pore was spraying flames. The golden light illuminated Wright's face and bald head. Flame spirit, whether it is Rudolph's soul or Rudolph's body, can be flamed after death. The phoenix golden fire is more fierce than the sun's flames, and it directly burned the remaining Rudolph into ashes, and Rudolph completely disappeared in front of Wright. When the golden flame disappeared, Wright stared at the place where the wizard had appeared and fell into deep thought. Is this the ability of the Phoenix Wizard? Is this the reason why he is so rampant? Before the wizard died, he had no fear of death, as if death was just a trivial matter to him. At that moment just now, the golden flame even overshadowed the white sun's flames, and the golden flame burned the corpse more fiercely than the sun's flames. The next moment, Wright's body suddenly shook. He tried his best to turn his head and look behind him. A large flame suddenly burst out from a dark black-red magma behind him. The flame was golden, the same color as the flame when Rudolph disappeared just now, Also the golden fire of Phoenix. Opportunities are reserved for the brave. Rudolph jumped out of the golden fire of Phoenix and raised his finger at the back of Wright's head. With Rudolph's promotion, his strongest offensive forbidden technique, shooting finger fire, was also improved. Shooting finger fire is a forbidden technique that concentrates sparks to a very small point and shoots them out at the fastest speed. Sparks are a simulation of stellar flames. The color of stars represents the temperature of their surface, red, yellow, white, blue, and the temperature increases in sequence. The surface temperature of red stars is about 3000 degrees Celsius. The surface temperature of yellow stars that reach the second level is about 5000 degrees Celsius. The yellow light that lit up at Rudolph's fingertips was exactly yellow. The yellow finger fire rushed straight to the back of Wright's head like a laser. 5000 degrees Celsius, even if the head of the white demon priest is made of refractory materials, there will be a hole today. Rudolph was able to fight against the 5th level master and apprentice in the late stage of the 4th level wizard. Now that he has become a 5th level wizard, how can he not be itchy when he sees the 6th level master and apprentice? However, the next moment, Rudolph's eyes suddenly became empty. He was clearly staring at Wright, but his sight seemed to have passed through an infinite distance and saw a towering pyramid and a strong light on the throne of the pyramid. Or, it was the light on the pyramid that passed through an infinite distance and shone into Rudolph's eyes. Rudolph knew this pyramid, he had seen the portrait of this pyramid. Legend has it that in the center of the fiery sun desert, stands the world's tallest pyramid, the Holy Light Pyramid, which is the throne of the evil god White Demon and the symbol of the evil god White Demon. The light was so dazzling, like another sun on top of the pyramid. Rudolph couldn't even see what was in the light, and couldn't see if the evil god White Devil was in the light. Holy Light Blessing. Only the priests who executed the evil god White Devil's oracle could have the Holy Light Blessing. Isn't this cheating? Too much. In a life and death battle, everyone relies on their own abilities, but you called the evil god, even a ray of light from the evil god is not enough. Who can withstand this? Bullying, too much bullying. Rudolph's eyes began to melt. No, it was directly vaporized. His star power melted again, and his upgraded shooting finger fire, which he had high hopes for, was melted by the Holy Light Blessing and disappeared without a trace. The Holy Light Blessing is obviously higher in level than Rudolph's star fire, crushing Rudolph's shooting finger fire. I don't know if it can resist this kind of magic after being upgraded to the highest level of blue finger fire. After the spark was upgraded, the blood consumption doubled. Rudolph's efforts were wasted, and he suffered significant heart pain. Rudolph had just been promoted to level 5 wizard. Arrogance killed him. He should not have challenged a level 6 white demon priest. Not every traverser could challenge him. When the light of the Holy Light Blessing disappeared, Wright's heart continued to beat. He was in danger of his life just now. A sun flame spurted out, and white flames burned on Rudolph's body again. Half of his head was scorched by the Holy Light Blessing, and his body was also burned by the sun flame, but Rudolph's mouth was still hard. It's a joke, don't take it seriously. Rudolph died, and his limbs turned into golden phoenix fire again and disappeared on the spot. Wright watched the golden fire dissipate, and was on guard against the phoenix wizard who might appear at any time. The surrounding area was full of magma that had not yet cooled down. The phoenix wizard could emerge from any mass of magma. His expression became more and more solemn. He felt that tonight's action was a mistake. The situation was out of control. He was originally here to wipe out the pirates, but it turned into a witch hunt inexplicably. If he hadn't had the oracle and the blessing of the holy light, he would have suffered a great loss here. He turned around to look for the Phoenix Wizard, but he had completely lost the Phoenix Wizard. Wright had a bad feeling that maybe the 3 level 6 priests might not be able to gain the upper hand tonight. In a ravine in the distance, a level 5 Oblivion priest was fighting with Redbeard with his men. The red beard in front of him was very difficult. The blood-red knife light could break all defenses, which reminded the level 5 Oblivion priest of the evil god of killing and courage that once existed in the church records. His priests could even confront the knights head-on. In the fierce battle, behind the level 5 Annihilation priest, a flame emerged from an inconspicuous magma. The flame turned from red to gold in an instant. The color of the golden phoenix fire became darker and darker, and finally turned into a black figure, and Rudolph appeared in the flame. The core ability of the Phoenix Wizard is rebirth from the ashes. This is the third time Rudolph has been resurrected tonight. The first time, he was killed by a beam of light from the white demon priest right just after he condensed into a phoenix in the crater. Before he could feel happy for a second, he died suddenly, which made Rudolph very uncomfortable. The phoenix was completely composed of star power, so it was restrained by the erosion ray. The second time, he was too excited and forced to pretend in front of the level 6 priest, and was undoubtedly killed by right. The third time, he couldn't help it. He thought that as a traverser, he could continue to pretend beyond his level. He failed to sneak attack right, but was injured by the blessing of holy light and burned to death by the furious right. Small pretense is good for your mood, big pretense is harmful to your body, and strong pretense will turn you into ashes. It seems that we should still have basic respect for these high-level priests. Although these people have become slaves of the evil god, they have also received the attention of the evil god. The 5th level Oblivion priest stared at Rudolph, who suddenly appeared in amazement, and Rudolph also stared at this priest. Haha, if I can't beat your leader, can I still beat you? I will take back all the anger I suffered from your leader on you. This Oblivion priest was not chosen casually by Rudolph. The last relic needed for the secret ritual of the Southern Hydra was the relic of the 5th level Oblivion priest. The 5th level Oblivion priest just raised his hand to summon the black hole, but found that the Phoenix Wizard in front of him seemed to be able to predict his movements and avoided the location of the black hole in advance. When he looked closely, he found that there was a flame jumping like a candle between the eyebrows of the Phoenix Wizard. Every time before he made a move, the flame would be a little more vigorous. The flame seemed to be able to predict his behavior. As soon as he intended to attack, the flame had already warned him. He stopped moving and the flame weakened a bit. Puppet flame spiritization, this is the second core ability that Rudolph mastered after becoming a Phoenix Wizard. The consumption of blood by the finger fire made him feel cramps in his heart. The upgraded finger fire was more burdensome, and he wanted to try other abilities. In addition to the 3 forbidden fire techniques, Rudolph also has 3 forbidden water techniques and 3 forbidden puppets. It seems very cumbersome to summon 3 puppets directly, and Rudolph does not want to reveal his trump card, so he wants to try whether he can flame spiritize the puppets like he flame spiritizes himself. After trying to inject the star power of Phoenix into the puppet, Rudolph was surprised that the puppet could also flame spiritize. The star map resides in Rudolph's soul. The soul can flame spiritize, and so can the puppet. Rudolph is not fighting alone. He is fighting with the puppet family bucket. In the first attempt, Rudolph chose to turn the word Spirit Larry into a flame spirit. The phoenix fire between Rudolph's eyebrows was the embodiment of the word Spirit Larry's ability. When Rudolph was promoted to a level 5 wizard, the word Spirit Larry also became a level 5 word spirit. Level 5 word spirit, known as level 5 prophet word spirit, has the core ability of 1 second absolute prophecy, which can predict what will happen in the next 1 second and is related to oneself. The ability of absolute prophecy is like cheating in battle, and all the enemy's actions are automatically predicted. Rudolph feels that he is too strong. 1 second sounds short, but it is enough for many men to complete important things. For example, now, the black hole created by the Annihilation Priest was easily avoided by Rudolph in advance to avoid being swallowed by the black hole. The first time can be explained by coincidence, but the second and third times are the same. Every time the level 5 Annihilation Priest just released the black hole, Rudolph would perfectly avoid it. In the vision of the Annihilation Priest, the wizard's movement speed is so fast that he is like facing an agile cheetah, and he can only see the wizard's back forever. The last time the Annihilation Priest saw Rudolph was when Rudolph suddenly appeared 2 meters in front of him. 1 second absolute prophecy, lasting 30 seconds, this is the data obtained by Rudolph after the experiment. This continuous prophecy is very strong and consumes a lot of apostles. In 30 seconds, all of Larry's prophetic power was consumed. Looking at the recovery status of Larry's prophetic power, the interval is about 10 minutes. That is to say, every 10 minutes, Rudolph can obtain a 1 second absolute prophet lasting 30 seconds, which can be used 3 times a day. After getting familiar with the ability of the 1 second absolute prophet, Rudolph no longer wastes time. He raised his finger and pointed at the brow of the Annihilation Priest. The yellow finger fire flashed and shot through the brow of the 5th level Annihilation Priest. The neck of the 5th level Annihilation Priest lit up with the light of the relic. No one can pretend to be dead in front of the wizard. This ability of the wizard is actually very powerful. The remaining apostle power after death will form a relic, which cannot be faked. Rudolph reached forward and pulled off a necklace from the neck of the Annihilation Priest. There was a metal ring on the necklace, the 5th level relic Annihilation Ring. The Annihilation Priest can create black holes. His ability comes from the Annihilation Ring blessed by the evil god Annihilation. There is a very small black hole in the Annihilation Ring that is slowly rotating. If anyone dares to put his finger into this black hole, his finger will be swallowed into the endless abyss. It is said that the abyss does not belong to this dimension. No one has ever reached the abyss. The abyss belongs to the evil god Annihilation and the Lord of Nothingness. However, judging from the fact that wizards can also use the Annihilation magical instrument, the endless abyss does not belong exclusively to the evil god Annihilation. It should be that he occupied the abyss and created this kind of black hole magic. This relic is very important to Rudolph. The Hydra's secret needs this relic. After dealing with the level 5 Annihilation Priest in front of him, Rudolph did not have time to deal with the other priests around him. He shouted to Redbeard, "Cooper, I'll leave this to you next. You should call my vest Green Skull." Cooper thought that Rudolph was too excited after being promoted to a level 5 wizard and did not pay attention to details at all. Watching Rudolph running towards the next level 5 trapped priest, Cooper felt that Rudolph was now so strong that he might not need to pay attention to these details. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 403. Phoenix Wizard. It's the legendary Phoenix Wizard from Southern Heaven. The level 6 difficult priest's knowledge was very good. He recognized from the appearance of Rudolph's disappearance and appearance that this was the method of the Phoenix Wizard decades ago. He had seen descriptions of the Phoenix Wizard in the Church's historical records. The Church's enthusiasm for recording history is much higher than that of God's chosen apostles. Every time the evil God performs a miracle, the believers are excited. The Church will also record those enemies who have threatened the Church. The last Phoenix Wizard was obviously the wizard who had left a deep impression on the troubled Church. Level 5 wizards are more difficult to deal with than other apostles, because level 5 wizards have as many as 42 abilities, and Phoenix wizards are the most difficult to deal with among level 5 wizards. Seeing the Phoenix wizard rushing towards the back of the trapped priest, level 6 trapped priest Haig shouted, "I'll trap him. Others stay away." The death of the level 5 Annihilation priest just now made Haig very nervous. Hearing the urgent shout from the 6th level trapped priest, Rudolph frowned. Wouldn't this delay his collection of relics? The level 6 trapped priest may also have the evil god's gaze on him. If he also has the same ability as the Holy Light Blessing, Rudolph will suffer again. The prophet entered the cool-down period for a second. Rudolph thought for a while and did not interrupt Larry to restore the power of prophecy. It didn't have to be like this, he still had a trump card. While recalling the contents of the church records, Haig seriously fought against the Phoenix Wizard. He waved the long sleeve of his cassock, and a black mist emerged from the long sleeve. With the black grid as the center, boundless darkness spread to the surroundings. If Rudolph is wrapped in this darkness, he will enter the dark prison where the priest is trapped. This darkness is like a high wall, like clouds and mist, darker than the black rocks under my feet. Priest Trouble is a truly disgusting apostle. The main relic of the Phoenix Seat secret is a level 5 living corpse relic. To a certain extent, the Phoenix Wizard is similar to the living corpse. He is not afraid of being beaten to death, but is afraid of being imprisoned. The green skeleton, who is also immortal, is trapped on Sea Burial Island by Priest Dunn. It took the Green Skull more than 10 years to find a loophole and escape from the priest's prison. After regaining his freedom, the Green Skull no longer had the original spirit and has been living on Sea Burial Island. The more than 10 years of being imprisoned made the Green Skull's mental state very bad. After being imprisoned for more than 10 years, you will have some mental problems. There is no humanitarian care in the prison where the priest is trapped. Rudolph didn't want to become someone else's prisoner just after being promoted to Phoenix Wizard. Just when Rudolph was about to escape, his feet were suddenly shrouded in darkness. Rudolph looked down, but he didn't see his feet, only his calves stuck in a massive black shadow. The mottled magma everywhere casts large and small shadows on the surrounding rocks. The shadows grew strangely, and darkness spread from these shadows. Interesting. Although he was captured, Rudolph's mentality was very relaxed and he was not panicked at all. Level 6 trapping priests have very strong abilities. The mist-like, tens of meters high darkness is just a disguise. These tiny black shadows are the real means of trapping priests. Lifting his legs vigorously, he discovered that there was a strong suction force in the darkness. This was some kind of rule-level restraint that could not be broken by brute force. The darkness continued to spread and was about to reach Rudolph's knees. It should hurt a lot. Before the dark prison fell, Rudolph raised his cane and pointed the tip of the cane between his eyebrows. Taking the initiative to give up his defense, Rudolph wanted to use gunpowder to practice the art of turning his forehead into explosives. Suicide is not cowardice, but requires courage. How serious is the matter that requires death to escape? Some people use their own death to punish others, and some people use their own death to show determination. Suicide is the last struggle of those poor people. After a few seconds, Rudolph made up his mind to die. Believing in the power of the Phoenix constellation is Rudolph's greatest reliance when facing powerful enemies. Rudolph completed his gunpowder training before darkness enveloped him. A handful of sparks lit up, gunpowder and flesh and blood flew into the sky together, and a headless corpse fell down. Before the body even touched the ground, golden flames were already emanating from its body. The golden flames that could not be changed by the dark prison burned Rudolph's body. Darkness engulfed the entire ridge, and level 6 trapped priest Haga showed no happy expression on his face. He did not find the Phoenix Wizard in the dark cage. After the darkness dispersed, he searched everywhere, but could no longer find the Phoenix Wizard. Haig finally looked at White Demon Priest right from a distance. Their eyes met and they both saw the helplessness on the other's face. If you meet a ruthless person, you can blow your head off without saying a word. On a ship in the distance on the sea, magma caused a fire that was difficult to extinguish. The priests were directing the crew to put out the fire. In a certain second-story cabin, the flames that had been nearly extinguished exploded in an instant, startling everyone around them. The flames quickly changed from red to golden, and the golden flame vaguely became a figure. The flames became darker and darker, and Rudolph walked out of the flames. He saw the priests in front of him, and the priests also saw him. At this time, these priests did not know that the person in front of them had just pretended to be in front of the level 6 White Devil Priest, killed a level 5 Annihilation Priest, and escaped from the hands of a level 6 Trapped Priest. It really hurts. Rudolph gritted his teeth and sucked in air, and kept rubbing his scalp. He couldn't commit suicide like this next time, he had to find an easy way to die. Reborn from the ashes, memories will be inherited, and the feeling of pain will also be inherited. When using sparks before, the feeling of angina will last for a long time after resurrection. Just now, in order to pursue a quick death in a short time, the means used were very extreme. I blew up my own head. After resurrection, the head has returned to its original state, but the feeling of pain has not disappeared. This is a ship of the White Demon Church. Both men and women on the ship have shaved heads. After a brief moment of daze, the group of priests rushed to Rudolph. Rudolph is not a priest, so he is an enemy. The tip of the cane tapped the ground lightly, and the entire deck was made into detonating gunpowder by Rudolph. The violent explosion instantly engulfed the other priests. These low-level priests are miserable. They hid on the ship but encountered enemies that their archdiocese priests could not deal with. The entire deck turned red, and the explosion appeared under their feet. The scorching air waves rushed to the ceiling and also rushed to the lower deck. A large hole appeared on the second deck, and the second and third cabins were connected. The priests in the lower cabin were also killed. A priestess who was hiding in a corner survived the disaster. She was not a combatant and did not have much combat experience. There was a triangular ground in the corner where the priestess was, so she did not fall. The door of the room was opened at some point, the floor disappeared, and the wall became 2 layers high. The door was located in the middle of the high wall. The door should not appear in the middle of the high wall. The priestess just thought the scene was absurd. The man in black stood at the door and looked back at the priestess. The priestess saw the man in black take off his hat and salute her. "Long time no see, Priest Rosa, I wonder if you still remember me. You sent me away on White Knight Island, and I have a good impression of you." Her companions screamed in the flames, but the man in front of her, who was not sure whether he was a gentleman or a devil, smiled at her like this, and then closed the door that was completely unnecessary to close. The door lock clicked, and Rosa remembered who he was, the tourist who entered White Knight Island without registration. Rudolph walked to the upper deck, and he adjusted his state in the slowest way. This was the 4th time he had come back from the dead tonight. Rudolph's eyelids were drooping, and flames kept illuminating his face. His expression was very serious. The 4th rebirth from the fire made Rudolph very weak. If you want to quantify it, his star power limit has been reduced by a quarter. It's not that the star power has been reduced, but the star power limit has been reduced. The first 3 rebirths from the fire had no effect on Rudolph, but the 4th rebirth from the fire greatly reduced Rudolph's strength. Walking out of the cabin door, Rudolph looked up and looked in the direction of the Phoenix constellation. He thought that being illuminated by the starlight and directly absorbing the star power could make up for the loss of the star power limit, but standing in the starlight, Rudolph found that his star power limit had not changed at all. In addition to the star power limit, he felt that his physical condition was also very bad. Rudolph raised his hand and clenched his fist, and his finger muscles were sore. He had much less strength and his body function had also lost about a quarter. Looking up at the Phoenix constellation, there are 9 bright stars in the Phoenix constellation. Only Rudolph could see that among the 9 bright stars, 4 were dim and only 5 were still shining. He could be resurrected 9 times a day. This was Rudolph's most secret information and he must not let anyone else know. If he died more than 9 times, he would never be resurrected again when he died for the 10th time. Why couldn't he be resurrected infinitely? It was disappointing that Phoenix squandered Rudolph's expectations. The 4th resurrection, the star power limit and body function lost a quarter, the number of resurrections was 9 times. As he got to know Phoenix better, Rudolph's expression became more and more solemn. Phoenix was very strong, but there were many limitations. For the time being, only these 2 points were discovered. I don't know if there are any other side effects. However, How to restore the lost star power limit and body function. A raging fire ignited on the ship of the Church of the Evil God. Rudolph stood in the flames, looking at the priest team halfway up the mountain. The star power of Phoenix gave him extremely strong resistance to high temperatures, and the high temperature of the flames had little effect on him. The ship had been completely burned by Rudolph, and the priests must have seen it. Rudolph revealed his position, and he hoped that the priests would understand that if they did not compromise, Rudolph would defeat their rear. Before the next 1-second prophet was activated, Rudolph did not want to confront the level 6 evil god priest head-on, so he could only use this indirect method to deter the priest. However, to Rudolph's regret, the level 6 priest did not stop climbing the mountain because of Rudolph's threat. The level 6 priest thought that it would be difficult for them to catch the Phoenix Wizard, because there was magma and fire all around, but the Phoenix Wizard could be reborn easily. Compared with being forced to compromise by the Phoenix Wizard, they wanted to catch the wizard's accomplices and force the wizard to compromise. The priest's team continued to climb up, ignoring the heat of the surrounding magma, forcing Cooper and his party to climb up as well. The higher you climb, the more dangerous the volcano is. The rocks there are loose and there is more magma. Maybe a certain black stone is just a thin layer of solidified volcanic ash. Once you step on it, you will step into the magma. Rudolph's face was cold, which was somewhat contemptuous of him. I am a level 4 wizard, and you don't care about me. Now I am a level 5 wizard, and you still don't care about me. Then I was promoted in vain, right? It seems that some means are needed to treat your high myopia. Since you want to deter each other, come on and see who has a stronger deterrent ability. Behind Rudolph, 4 bat wings of flame spirits were born. This is the second puppet in the puppet family bucket, the ability of the level 5 vampire Vanya. The 4-winged vampires were a feature that the vampire Revno had shown after he was promoted to level 5 in Fabro City. After Rudolph was promoted to level 5, Vanya also mastered the core abilities of the level 5 vampires. In the star map, a light cocoon was hanging below Scorpio. Vanya, who was originally curled up in the light cocoon, stretched out his body, and golden phoenix fire emerged from his body. What was even more dazzling was the 4 bat wings behind him. The 4 stretched bat wings were burning with phoenix fire, which was extremely bright. In the real world, 4 translucent golden wings also appeared behind Rudolph. Each of the 4 stretched wings reached a length of 3 meters, carrying Rudolph suspended in the air. These 4 bat wings gave Rudolph the ultimate flying ability, and the flying speed was extremely fast. After accelerating to the fastest, it could reach 100 meters per second. More importantly, the 4 bat wings also gave the vampires an extremely powerful ability, Sonic Boom Flash. Rudolph turned his head and looked to the side. There was a ship of the Oblivion Church on the left, only more than 200 meters away from him. Among the 4 bat wings, the upper 2 wings were backwards, and the lower 2 wings were forward. The 4 bat wings flapped suddenly, and Rudolph's figure disappeared instantly, leaving a sonic boom that broke the speed of sound in the air. 1 second later, Rudolph suddenly flashed on the ship of the Oblivion Church on the left. The speed of sound is 340 meters per second. Level 5 vampires can appear at any position within 340 meters in 1 second, just like flashing. Floating in the sky above the ship of the Oblivion Church, Rudolph felt this ability. Very strong, but unfortunately the sound of the sonic boom flash cannot be concealed, and there will be a certain stiffness after the flash. Disappearing on the spot and stopping suddenly at another location, the strong inertia made Rudolph dizzy, and his internal organs even shifted. After the transformation of the level 5 Night Relic, his body was already very strong, but it still needed some adaptation time, so there would be stiffness in the body. The maximum distance limit of 340 meters, the stiffness after the sonic boom flash, Revno should have died from these shortcomings. When in Fabro City, the 56th Regiment of the Constitutional Army led by Colonel Gayton had several airships, and the Silver Flame was famous for its powerful firepower. If an attack covering a diameter of 340 meters is created, it can also kill the level 5 vampires under proper command. The ships around the Longboli volcanic island, the top leaders have all gone to the mountain. Where is there a decent defense? Rudolph doesn't think he will meet an experienced alchemist like Colonel Gayton. After a few seconds, the ship of the Annihilation Church sank in the explosion and disaster. This is just the beginning. Sonic booms were heard again on the sea, proving that the Phoenix Wizard disappeared and flashed again. The 6th level White Demon Priest Wright's breathing became heavy, and he quickly ordered, "Quick! Catch the Phoenix Wizard's accomplices first." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 404. This is a game of who will give in first and who will give in first, and neither side is willing to let go. How long does it take to burn a ship? The answer is, an average of 10 seconds. Including the time it takes to travel, Rudolph can burn a ship in 10 seconds. For the time being, he ignored the 3 church flagships with level 5 alchemical reinforcement arrays, as it would take too much time to destroy those ships. Rudolph didn't want to use sparks, as only sparks could destroy flagships in a short time, so it was more cost-effective to burn ordinary ships. The sparks were useful to keep, and after the Prophet recovered in 1 second, Rudolph was ready to meet the level 6 White Demon Priest head-on. For the ordinary priests on the ship, the Phoenix Wizard was like a god, suddenly flashing, with 4 golden flame bat wings, and knocking down the reinforcement array with 1 blow, and then turning half of the deck into explosives. In the explosions all over the sky, medium-sized ships and small ships would become giant torches. Fortunately for these low-level priests, the Phoenix Wizards were very busy, mainly blowing up ships, and did not directly kill those priests. Many priests survived like Rosa. When Rosa found a way to climb onto the deck, she saw a figure with bat wings in the distance, and a strong fear rose in her heart. As a level 5 wizard, Rudolph believed that he deserved the minimum respect. The ships were on fire, proving Rudolph's deterrence. I hope they can remember Rudolph because of the pain. Every 10 seconds, Rudolph would sink a ship. Every 10 seconds, the priests could only climb up less than 30 meters. The ships of the evil god church completely surrounded the Longboli volcanic island. They had a total of 30 ships of all sizes. When Rudolph burned 1/3 of the ships, the evil god priests finally panicked. The level 6 priests ignored their manners and climbed quickly by grabbing their robes. Wright and Hegel were in their prime, so it was better. The Annihilation Priest Moore was very old and his movements were relatively slow. Ships caught fire one after another, and Cooper's bodies fell one by one, forming a terrifying deterrent to each other. When Rudolph burned half of the ships, the White Demon Priest Wright and the trapped priest Hegel joined forces and finally caught Cooper's flaw. Hegel blocked the area on Cooper's left, forcing him to dodge to the right and leave the bunker, exposing him to the White Demon Priest. Wright waved his hand, and a beam of light shot directly at Cooper. While leaving the rock bunker, Cooper had let a corpse jump out with him. No matter how strong the White Demon Priest's attack was, it had to shine directly on Cooper. The corpse blocked Cooper's front, and the corpse blocked the erosion ray, but the trapped priest's dark cage also successfully captured Cooper. Darkness descended, and Cooper's shoulder and half of his body were captured by darkness. Cooper's hood fell off, revealing his skull. The skull was expressionless, but the will-o'-the-wisps in the eye sockets were extremely chaotic. He had already foreseen his misfortune. As a level 5 zombie, it was very, very difficult for him to persist in front of so many priests until now. No other apostle could achieve such an effect as Cooper. At the moment when the black curtain was about to swallow Cooper, a yellow finger fire crossed the sky and shot directly from the seaside to the mountainside. The rich yellow finger fire, with huge energy, instantly crossed a distance of hundreds of meters. The target of this finger fire was not the level 6 trapped priest, but Cooper. Rudolph found it difficult to kill the level 6 trapped priest from such a long distance, but attacking the trapped Cooper would definitely kill Cooper. Cooper's skull was shot through, the will-o'-the-wisps went out, and before being trapped in the dark cage, Cooper escaped with death. The trapped priest Heg was stunned to find that he had lost the positioning of the green skull. He looked around but didn't find the green skeleton, but saw the Phoenix Wizard on the shore flying towards the mountain. Heg didn't know why the Phoenix Wizard let go of those ships and flew towards the mountain instead. The Phoenix Wizard didn't use the Blood Clan magic weapon, and didn't use the sonic boom flash again, but used bat wings to fan the air. The speed was very fast, but the priests could catch the figure of the Phoenix Wizard with their eyes. Heg couldn't help cursing, "Is this Phoenix Wizard the illegitimate son of an 8th level Archwizard? Why does he have a 5th level Blood Clan magic weapon just after being promoted?" The trapped priests around couldn't answer this question. A Phoenix Wizard flying over actually brought them an extremely terrifying sense of oppression. The bat wings were not fleshy webbed wings like the Blood Clan bat wings, but were made of flames. They guessed that this might be some kind of magic that the wizard used to enhance the power of the magic weapon. In fact, Rudolph's 1-second prophecy was almost healed, and he could fight these people head-on again. Ships and low-level priests are not that important to the level 6 priests, so they still have to cut flesh from them directly to make them feel pain. The priests stopped climbing up and turned to guard Rudolph, which made Rudolph very satisfied. He finally felt respected. So hard, isn't it just to gain the respect of others? Taking advantage of the time Rudolph bought, he ran to a corpse on the mountain in advance and emitted a green flame. Cooper began to revive. The flesh and blood on the corpse was burned by the green ghost fire. A white skeleton stood up, and 2 green flames jumped in his eye sockets. After rearranging the corpse defense line to ensure that Yvonne and the others were not in danger for the time being, Cooper looked at his previous self. He accurately found the skeleton, which was his own skeleton. His own skeleton was no longer special. Like the skeletons that had been dead for several years, they could no longer bear the power of the apostles. This was his first resurrection and his first body change. This perspective is very strange. In another body, I see my original bones scattered on the rocks. This body is so strange. The height, arms, legs, are all different from before. Is it really time to say goodbye to my old self? After taking a last look at his body, Cooper turned his head and continued to fight. Level 6 White Demon Priest Right raised his scepter and shot a beam of erosion at Rudolph. Dare to fly in front of the White Demon Priest. This wizard is a bit too arrogant. However, the erosion ray that hits the target every time was dodged by the Phoenix Wizard with a shoulder. The fire of prophecy jumped between Rudolph's eyebrows. After the upper limit of star power and physical fitness decreased, he found that the duration of the prophet in 1 second was also reduced by a quarter. He only had 22.5 seconds. Rudolph had to accept this fact. The weakness brought by rebirth from the fire was all round. There was not much time left for him, and there was not much time left for the priests. Wright was stunned. He could not know what went wrong in a short time. Can a level 5 apostle dodge the attack of a level 6 apostle? Or the fastest ray attack? As a response from the wizard, a sonic boom suddenly appeared in the sky. The Phoenix Wizard suddenly disappeared and suddenly flashed. Rudolph appeared behind a level 5 White Demon Priest. The level 5 White Demon Priest turned his head and raised his hand, but it was too slow. After Rudolph got through the stiffness of his body, the two sides exchanged attacks. The erosion ray was dodged by Rudolph, but the head of the White Demon Priest did not dodge the shooting finger fire. Picking up the scepter of the level 5 White Demon Priest, Rudolph was a little disappointed. He had obtained this relic before, so he did not light up new stars. Killing a level 5 white demon priest in front of Right was a humiliation to Right. Right attacked in a rage, and the new erosion ray was much more dazzling than usual. However, his ray only shone on the rock. When the light disappeared, the rock returned to its black appearance, and he did not hit the Phoenix Wizard again. Be careful. Right wanted to warn, but it was too late. A level 5 trapped priest suddenly turned his head, thinking that the Phoenix Wizard would attack him from behind. Being smart. This time, Rudolph appeared in front of him. When the trapped priest turned back, he saw the Phoenix Wizard's cold face. The level 5 trapped priest raised his sleeves and wanted to create a dark cage. Cooper's level 5 trapped priest corpse was not far away. The corpse made a move and interfered with the priest's move. Everything was in divination, very easy. The finger fire shot out, the level 5 trapped priest died, and Rudolph took out a black cloth bag from his sleeve. Another level 5 relic was obtained, the level 5 trapped cloth bag, but unfortunately Rudolph did not have time to choose the reward in the star map. Wizard! How dare you! The 6th level trapped priest Higer's eyes were bloodshot. He experienced the pain that Right had just experienced. He saw a 5th level priest die not far from him, but he could not react in time. He had a lot of magic, but he could not catch the slippery and unscrupulous Phoenix Wizard. Large-scale magic. Use large-scale magic. The 6th level white magic priest Right created a sun in mid-air, illuminating half of the hillside. The 6th level trapped priest Higer waved his sleeves, letting the darkness swallow the other half of the hillside. The 6th level annihilation priest created dozens of small black holes, scattered on the hillside, to prevent the Phoenix Wizard from flashing with magic tools again. The 3 6th level priests joined forces to give Rudolph face, but without interfering with divination, this joint effort was just empty momentum. Rudolph couldn't beat your magic, but he could die. He had already waved his cane and cut his throat. When all the attacks disappeared, there was silence on the hillside. The light dimmed, and people could see things again, but the strong light made everything look a little black, and the already dark Longboli volcano island was blurred. The dark cage dissipated, and the black hole gradually shrank and disappeared. The hot wind made many people swallow their saliva, and all the priests looked desperate for a moment, because they saw a beam of magma so bright in the dark night. Flames emerged leisurely from this magma, and the Phoenix Wizard walked out of the flames. The 5th time, the 5th rebirth from the fire. The upper limit of the resurrection star power did not decrease again this time. It should be 1 level weaker every 3 resurrections. The next weakness, that is, after the 7th rebirth from the fire, may be more than a quarter. The priests saw that the Phoenix Wizard no longer had the playful smile when he was just resurrected. The Phoenix Wizard who appeared for the first time even went to say hello to Right. The current Phoenix Wizard's expression was extremely cold, and the murderous intent and hatred made every priest tremble. It was the Phoenix Wizard who had everything he wanted in front of the 3 level 6 priests, but he seemed to have suffered a great injustice. Rudolph just felt that he should have done better. The reduction in the upper limit of star power allowed him to kill only 2 level 5 priests. If there was extra star power, the effect would have been more perfect if he had just dealt with the other low-level priests. The Phoenix Wizard raised his hand, and another voice sounded on the hillside. Wait, level 6 white demon priest Right suddenly shouted, let's talk. Rudolph looked at Right in the distance with a puzzled look. Why did you back down first? I think I can still die 1 or 2 more times. The fear on the faces of the low-level priests, the torment of the level 5 priests, and the pain and helplessness on the faces of the level 6 priests made Rudolph understand that Right might really be willing to talk. Rudolph showed the most terrifying ability of the Phoenix Wizard, the powerful and terrifying deterrence brought by immortality. Anyone who faces the Phoenix Wizard will have a headache. Especially Rudolph's ability, which is definitely more difficult to deal with than the previous Phoenix Wizard. Lion King Starfire did not have the opportunity to use it. The defensive ability of this forbidden technique is very strong. While defending, it can also cause huge damage to nearby enemies. Sonic Boom Flash and Absolute Profit, these two abilities make Rudolph like a loach in a short period of time, and dodge points are full. Can defend and dodge, highlighting a fear of death. In case it is not defended or dodged, it doesn't matter, there is still the immortal Phoenix, which can be resurrected. After resurrection, another round can still defend and dodge. Fear of death is so terrible that he can never die again. He mainly plays a rogue style. Rudolph is very satisfied with the ability system he has painstakingly established. The other priests gathered towards right while on guard. The priests breathed a sigh of relief. The evil god is above. The Phoenix Wizard seems to have calmed down. Finally, he is not like an angry firebird killing people everywhere. The Phoenix Wizard is too scary. The priests whispered and asked when the last Phoenix Wizard appeared in the southern continent. At least 50 years ago. Except for those who study modern history, few people can remember any influential figures more than 50 years ago. Only 3 or 2 people in an era can leave their names in history. Most people, no matter how brilliant they are, will be as if they have never appeared, without any trace. The atmosphere suddenly relaxed, and Cooper also rushed back from a distance. Wright's eyes moved away from the Phoenix Wizard and looked at the green skeleton who was walking over. This green skeleton was also very difficult to deal with. Just now, the green skeleton was almost caught by the level 6 trapped priest. It was the Phoenix Wizard who killed the green skeleton and let the green skeleton escape the cage of the trapped priest. 2 people with immortality, one is the Phoenix Wizard, and the other is a living corpse. Trapped Priest Heg and Annihilation Priest Moore looked at each other and had a headache. How could they provoke 2 undead apostles at the same time? What are they here for? It seems that they are here to destroy the big pirates Redbeard and Green Skull. They thought that Green Skull was difficult to deal with, and the level 6 trapped priest Higer had already prepared for it, but who knew that the big pirates were not Redbeard and Green Skull, but Phoenix Wizard and Green Skull. Once teammates are changed, the ability doubles. Rudolph stood on a tall black stone and said in a relaxed voice, "Good evening, friends. Let me introduce myself. I am Rudolph the Furnace. I am slightly famous in the North Continent. People in the South Continent may not know me very well, but in the future, you will all know me." Familiar words, frivolous tone, Wright's eyebrows kept jumping. For many years, he has not felt so angry that his heart ached. He endured and endured, forced to breathe deeply, until his bald head and face were as red as he was, and Wright did not raise the scepter again. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 405. Hearing that Rudolph was pretending again, Cooper felt relieved. No, he has no heart. It should be said that the flickering will-o'-the-wisp in his eye holes has slowed down. The faces of several level 6 priests turned red from holding back, and they did not attack Rudolph again. It seemed that Rudolph had already controlled the situation. The crew members also breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, they no longer had to hide in the east. There was more and more magma on the top of the mountain, and the space for hiding was getting smaller and smaller. Cooper did not let others rashly approach Rudolph and the priest who were negotiating, and hid in a distance with the remaining people, waiting for the outcome of the negotiation between Rudolph and the priest. The fighting stopped, and both sides ushered in a rare pause. A low, rumbling sound came from inside the volcano, as if it was about to erupt at any time, and the volcanic island of Rombolus was once again filled with that unsettling background sound. In the distant sea, burning ships exploded from time to time, and shells and gunpowder were detonated, making those ships very dangerous. Rudolph did not take killing as his first goal. Many priests at sea organized self-rescue. The priests halfway up the mountain looked at the Phoenix Wizard standing on the boulder, not knowing what to do. It was Right who spoke first, as expected of the Phoenix Wizard, one of the three most powerful wizards in the south. You are very strong. Best of all, I have just become a Phoenix Wizard and am not very skilled. Next time we meet, I hope I can show you the appearance of the strongest Phoenix Wizard. There were many priests behind Right. He felt that he could not keep his face, so he raised his hand and wanted to shoot Rudolph with an erosion ray. The scepter shone brightly, and the Phoenix Wizard just looked at him calmly and smiled. Right understood that killing the Phoenix Wizard again was meaningless and could only increase the Phoenix Wizard's arrogance. Rudolph didn't wait for the destructive ray. On the surface, he was a little disappointed. In fact, he was very happy in his heart. Death is very painful. He said, I suggest you put down the scepter. If you want to fight, continue to fight. If you want to talk, let's talk. This only highlights your incompetence. The more unscrupulous Rudolph is, the safer he is. The extreme pressure made them think that Rudolph still had strong fighting ability. Anyway, these people didn't know how many times Rudolph could be resurrected. Right, who was ridiculed, put down his scepter. The Phoenix Wizard in front of him was very difficult to deal with. In addition to the immortality ability, the Phoenix Wizard's trump card also made him fearful. When he was promoted, he had a level 5 witchcraft prepared in advance. This wizard had an unusual background. The others are going to the beach, Priest Hall, Priest Hague, and the three of us will stay. Right had a premonition that the negotiations might be a bit ugly for a while, so it would be better to let the ordinary priests leave. After the priests left, Right relaxed a little. The Phoenix Wizard did not prevent the low-level priests from leaving. In a short period of time, one person each died from the level 5 White Demon Priest, the level 5 Oblivion Priest, and the level 5 Trapped Priest. This caused the three level 6 priests to lose all their majesty. Unexpectedly, this volcanic island turned out to be the place where the Phoenix Wizard was promoted. Right looked around. Rudolph, the Southern Phoenix Wizard, you have exposed important information about the Phoenix secret. As long as you block this island, you can prevent the birth of the next Phoenix Wizard. Not to mention the White Devil Church, even the wizards know very little about the Phoenix secret form. It will surely become the top secret information of the God's Church in the future, especially since this place is not far from the White Devil Church's parish, and the White Devil Church will not let more information go. The Phoenix Wizard is born. Seal this volcanic island, Rudolph asked with some confusion. Block it down. You don't think I'll be upset because other wizards can't become Phoenix Wizards, do you? I'm already in the car, you'd better help me weld the door shut. Weld it tightly, don't leave even a crack, and finally let's send a lot of people to guard Longboli Volcanic Island for hundreds of years, and never let other wizards become Phoenix Wizards. Annihilation Priest Hall shook his head. Aren't you afraid that other wizards will turn against you if word spreads about your destructive behavior? 3 level 6 priests were chasing Rudolph. How could Rudolph be in the mood to consider this at that time? I have the Phoenix secret. No matter what I do, I will become the public enemy of wizards. They will be jealous and jealous. Children cannot have toys that are too good, otherwise they will be taken away by others. They won't go easy on me, so why should I care what other wizards think? Why should I worry about whether other wizards have a chance to become Phoenix Wizards? Do I want to influence others with love and justice? That was a fairy tale, not the future I was about to face. Seeing the Phoenix Wizard's shameless appearance, Oblivion Priest Hall said, shamelessness is the talisman of the despicable. You are very shameless. Thank you, this is a compliment to me, Rudolph said. After fighting all night, I'm a little tired, and you must be the same. You level 6 priests all have oracle protection on you, so I can't do anything to you. I think you can't do anything to me either. Why don't you do it this way? I'll count you down today. How about winning? Wright's voice was low. Return to us the relics of the level 5 priest. There are witchcraft weapons made from the relics of level 5 priests on the market, which the church cannot tolerate. It's impossible. You don't know how many relics I have. The 3 newly obtained relics today have been mixed together in the pile of relics and cannot be found. This lame excuse. Wright's face turned livid, and he looked at the sea. We will take away the relics of the priest's body on the ship. Are you bringing a wizard with you? Certainly. This is a lesson to me. Only peers are naked enemies. In the future, the wizard should be dealt with first. Rudolph thought for a moment and said, okay, I won't move the relics on the sea, but I want that boat. Negotiation. There is back and forth. Rudolph makes a step, and he has to take another step. Following the direction of Rudolph's finger, the priest saw the flagship of the troubled church. Rudolph was very satisfied with the big ship. It is indeed the flagship of the Church of the God of Artisans. That ship is very good, no worse than the alchemists. The Church of the God of Craftsmen is far behind the alchemists in terms of innovation ability, but their ability to imitate is very strong, and the alchemists mock them as reverse research and development. When the troubled priest Haig heard this condition, his voice was very high. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Rudolph spread his hands indifferently. Then you have to work hard for a while. I hope you can hold on. I am not discussing with you, but informing you. My ship was stranded and destroyed because of your pursuit, and you will always have to give me something to compensate. One ship for another, it's not too much. Villain. A villain who uses his immortality to be arrogant and domineering. How can you curse people? You have no quality. Rudolph looked at Wright. If I continue to attack, I'm sorry, but if I pick up some relics, I won't return them to you. Haig wanted to say something else, but Wright raised his hand to stop him. Forget it, Haig. Even if you don't give it to him, he has the ability to destroy the ship. Priest Haig's face was very ugly, but he could not get angry. What Wright said was the truth. With nothing more to say, the 3 priests turned and left. When the 3 priests arrived at the shore, Rudolph saw priests walking down one after another from the flagship of the difficult church. The priests abided by the results of the negotiations, which pleased Rudolph. These priests are very aware of current affairs and know that fighting again tonight will only hurt both sides. Unfortunately, they went to great lengths to fish up the priest's corpse and take away the relics. The church believes that their abilities come from the great evil god. The relics are made into witchcraft tools by wizards, and they can also use magic. This is a blasphemy against the evil god. The church has dedicated fanatics to recover those relics or witchcraft artifacts that have strayed away. Mr. Rudolph, why do you keep covering your chest? It hurts to see 3 level 6 relics leave. In the speechless gazes of the others, Rudolph felt extremely distressed. He was really distressed. When he had just defeated the 5th level priest, he used all the sparks. He used them too hard and couldn't bear it. Cooper, we survived. 3 level 6 priests can't do anything to us. Next. Rudolph wanted to say something else, but saw Cooper turning his head hurriedly and running in one direction. Cooper! Cooper! When Rudolph followed Cooper to a white skeleton, he also understood why Cooper was so anxious. This is the bone that Rudolph just destroyed in order to prevent Cooper from being captured by Priest Dunn. There is also a hole in the skull of the white bones, which is the hole left by the fire. This white bone is the white bone of Cooper's original body. Cooper stared at his own body for a long time and was speechless. Rudolph also stared at this white bone for a long time and was speechless. It seemed like a big piece was missing in his heart. This was the biggest connection between Cooper and his past. Now, he has completely lost his body. How should I put it? There is a first time for everything. You will get used to it gradually in the future. As for your body, you will get used to it every time you change it. If you don't know how to comfort people, please don't speak. Cooper didn't reply. The will-o'-the-wisp in his skull was dim and his mood was depressed. Rudolph and others said, "Let's go, let's take delivery of our new ship first, and let Cooper rest here. Cooper will clean the battlefield. His collection suffered a lot tonight." It was visually estimated that at least 100 corpses were destroyed, and all of them were corpses of level 3 masters and apprentices or above. The corpses of priests halfway up the mountain will be replenished to Cooper. Everyone walked down the mountain, and when they approached the battlefield, they realized what Rudolph had just done. The 2 flagships left with half of the remaining ships. There were still many ships sunk on the sea, leaving only the chimneys or flagpoles exposed. The crew were amazed. This was all the achievements of Mr. Rudolph alone. Rudolph pointed to the flagship of the trapped church. "That's our new ship." Mackenzie had just eaten a mouthful of volcanic ash on the mountain, and now he was mortified. When he looked at the flagship of the Church of Trouble, he felt bad. "Mr. Rudolph. The flagship of the level 6 Priest of Trouble. The highest standard ship imitated by the Craftsman Church. Boat, can you steal this? The wording is not very elegant. It was obtained through negotiation, not robbery. Do you think I am the kind of pirate who only knows how to rob? Mr. Rudolph, stop pretending. When the news spreads in half a month, you will be the most arrogant pirate on the ancient sea according to the propaganda of the gods' religion." Hearing Mackenzie's words, Rudolph sighed. "It's really sad. I, Rudolph, have done good deeds and never had any evil thoughts. Now I have become a pirate on the Saragosse. Isn't this a curse?" Ignoring Rudolph's complaints, Mackenzie and the others hurried aboard the flagship. "Since this ship was captured on the Rombolus volcanic island, let's call her the Volcano from now on." The crew was very excited when they heard Rudolph's name. This was the best ship they could find on the Saragosse, but Rudolph's next words gave Mackenzie a chill down his back. "There are no other requirements. I hope that the Volcano can last for a year in our hands and not be ruined within a year. The Bauhinia has been with them the longest, more than 10 months. The Green Skull and Red Scimitar only took less than 2 months. Thinking about it this way, Mr. Rudolph was too wasteful of ships." "Absolutely not," Mackenzie said decisively. "Mr. Rudolph, you don't know anything about this ship. This ship is powerful beyond imagination. The Church of Distress, also known as the Church of Craftsmen, is particularly good at imitation of steam machinery. As long as the alchemists develop new useful technologies, it won't take long for the artisan church to imitate them. Sometimes these technologies will even overtake the alchemists. The evil god restricted the creativity of the priests, and those priests only wanted to hold worship services to worship the evil god. Fortunately, plagiarism is much simpler than innovation. The difficult church focuses its energy on imitation and is good at reverse research and development. If placed among the alchemists' ships, the Volcano is equivalent to a 120 gun ship. It is the ship with the largest tonnage and the most powerful firepower among existing ships. In addition to the level 5 alchemical reinforcement circle, Mr. Rudolph, look, there are also matrix rockets there. Following the direction of Mackenzie's finger, Rudolph saw 8 iron lumps 2 people high. Inside the iron box are rockets. Ordinary shells are too small. Rockets as tall as a person can allow the alchemist to add more alchemy skills and become more powerful. Rudolph remembered that when he was in Fabreau City, the main weapon on Colonel Guyton's Silver Flame was rocket launchers. It has a wider hull, deeper draft, and larger cargo capacity than the Bauhinia. If this 120 gun ship can be destroyed by you within a year, you can compete with the biggest loser on the Saragosse Peninsula. The Count's sons are not half as good as yours." Rudolph didn't care about this. A boat is a kind of tool, and tools will eventually wear out. Mackenzie shook his head. "So you will never become a real captain. You have no real love for sea ships and no reverence for the sea from the bottom of your soul. Rudolph stopped talking. He really didn't want to become a great captain. Go to the wreckage of the Bauhinia and bring everything you can use. Don't waste it. While the crew went about their business, Rudolph shut himself into the cabin and told the others not to disturb him tonight. After lighting 6 candles on the table and taking a short rest in front of the candle light, Rudolph was ready to start studying the resurrection of the Phoenix Wizard. The Phoenix Wizard's rebirth from the ashes still has many secrets that have not been explored. The upper limit of star power and the loss of body functions have to be figured out how to recover. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 406. 6 candles formed a hexagram, surrounding Rudolph in the middle. The 6 surrounding candles achieved the effect of a shadowless lamp. Rudolph looked unreal without a shadow. Only when the candle flames jumped and were dark and bright would his faint shadow be cast on the ceiling. Rudolph stared at the candle flames in front of him, slightly lost in thought. The next experiment might be dangerous. He wanted to experience the resurrection of the Phoenix Wizard completely. What kind of resurrection would it be after 9 resurrections? If you rashly experience resurrection in battle, you may encounter more unpredictable risks. In the previous battle, Rudolph had experienced 5 rebirths from the ashes. He picked up his cane and pointed the tip of the cane at himself. Before committing suicide, Rudolph remembered bad memories. He first took out the plague medium syringe and gave himself a tube of anesthetic. If conditions permit, you should die more comfortably and suffer less. When the anesthetic was about to take effect, the 4th level wolf blade breath on the tip of the cane emitted a sharp wolf blade phantom, cutting Rudolph's throat. Blood spurted out of the throat and then splashed on the floor, leaving a large pool of blood on the floor. After the tracheotomy, the lungs and brain could not supply air, and Rudolph soon lost consciousness. The resurrection just now was a bit hasty, and this time Rudolph had time to experience it carefully. After death, every cell in the body became active instead, which was the effect of the night's relics. Each cell produced Phoenix star power, which turned into combustibles and burned inside and outside Rudolph's body, whether it was skin or bone marrow. Every cell was not spared. Even the blood splashed on the floor was burning, that is, the tissues separated from the body would also enter the fire and be reborn. For a while, the room was bright, and in the dazzling golden light, Rudolph felt his soul. The soul was getting higher and higher, separated from the body, and then became hot, as if the soul was also burning. As the soul burned, Rudolph felt other heat sources around him. The flames closest to Rudolph were the 6 candles he had arranged. When Rudolph's body was completely burned, the Phoenix star power in his body began to spread and dissipate. Any flame covered by the Phoenix star power can become the basis for Rudolph's resurrection. The body is burning, and there will be a moment when it will burn out. When the golden Phoenix fire disappeared, only the candle light remained in the room, and it dimmed again. However, Rudolph's star power did not disappear. He could sense that his star power still existed around him. The Phoenix star power is like a ghost that has escaped from the world. It has not completely disappeared, but it is also invisible and unknowable. Rudolph entered a strange state, between life and death. In the proverb, the phoenix calls itself the immortal bird wandering between life and death. Rudolph is now in a state of death but not completely disappearing. Randomly picking a bunch of candle light, Rudolph let the Phoenix star power flow to this flame. The candle light suddenly shone brightly, and the flame instantly turned into a flame that rushed straight to the ceiling. The flames turned golden in an instant, and the Phoenix star power that spread and dispersed around gathered again. The star power density became larger and larger, and the density was so large that it gradually condensed into a solid body, and Rudolph's figure gradually appeared. Finally, the Phoenix star power turned into Rudolph's appearance again, and Rudolph's soul returned to his body. The 6th resurrection, the star power limit and body function were still only 3/4 of the normal ones. Standing next to the candle light, Rudolph experienced the process of rebirth from the fire. For the Phoenix Wizard, death is the process of Phoenix star power dissipation, rebirth is the process of Phoenix star power condensation. From condensation to dissipation, and then from dissipation to condensation, Rudolph completed the rebirth from the fire, and the whole process was dominated by Phoenix star power. Death is accompanied by the flame spiritization of the body and soul, and resurrection is the reverse flame spiritization of star power into body and soul. Phoenix star power is so wonderful. Moreover, Rudolph's magic weapon can also appear with resurrection because of the infusion of star power. His robe has always been a level 3 wizard batwing, which reborn with him, so that he would not be naked every time he resurrected. It is worthy of the wizard's ability, so thoughtful. Continuing back to the center of the candle light, Rudolph began the next experiment. This time, he chose to commit suicide with poison, which simulated the suicide method used when Rudolph was unable to move in extreme situations. Toxin suicide is slower, and it takes time for the toxin to work, unlike cutting the throat, which is immediate. After Rudolph died, the Phoenix star power was generated from every cell again and began to burn his body. Soon, Rudolph disappeared in the cabin. The Phoenix star power is like a transparent bubble, expanding outward and expanding into the distance. Rudolph wanted to try how far his resurrection limit is. Soon, the star power bubble left the volcano, came to the shore, and spread to the volcano. The dark or active magma encountered along the way can become the basis for Rudolph's resurrection. The star power bubble continued to expand, crossing the crater and coming to the back of Longboli volcanic island, until it reached the other side of the volcanic island. The star power bubble could no longer expand, and Rudolph's Phoenix star power could only reach such a distance. Rudolph himself disappeared, becoming an unknown and invisible free state, existing in this world. 5 kilometers, the diameter of Longboli volcanic island, is also the distance limit for rebirth from the ashes. Rudolph can only be resurrected if there is a flame within 5 kilometers. On the magma on the other side of the volcanic island, the star power condensed again, and the huge star power caused the magma to explode, and Rudolph walked out of the golden flame. The seventh resurrection. Standing on the dark coast, surrounded by the vague, dotted, dark red magma, Rudolph's face was extremely ugly. This time, the star power limit and body function lost half of the usual. Rudolph looked up at the starry sky. At this time, 7 of the 9 bright stars in the Phoenix constellation in the starry sky had become dim, and only 2 were still as bright as before. If a quarter is still tolerable, the loss of half has greatly affected Rudolph's combat effectiveness. In other words, every 3 times a level, the first 3 resurrections have no effect, the 4th to 6th times, the star power limit loses a quarter, and the 7th time starts to lose half. There was no living person around. Rudolph suddenly felt insecure. He first took out his pocket watch to check the time, then waved his cane and killed himself again. This time, he did not rush to resurrect, but let the Phoenix constellation star power always exist between heaven and earth. This feeling is very wonderful, without a body, but Rudolph can still think. He had no vision, and could only sense the bubble-like Phoenix star power and the tiny sparks of fire covered by the star power. In addition to these on the ground, Rudolph could also sense several stars in the Phoenix constellation in the distance above his head. Those stars had established some kind of wonderful connection with Rudolph. After an unknown period of time, the candlelight in the cabin burst into flames, and Rudolph walked out of the candlelight. He took out his pet pocket watch to check the time. The longest interval between 2 resurrections could reach 3 minutes. Is this some kind of alternative invincibility? In these 3 minutes, no one could kill him because he disappeared from the world. The 8th resurrection, the upper limit of star power and body function still lost half of their original strength. This feeling of weakness was terrible. Rudolph's weight was very heavy, and his leg muscles could not support his body. He even began to tremble slightly, which forced Rudolph to sit on the floor. If you encounter this situation in battle, it would be too bad. It seems that after the seventh resurrection, you must escape. There is not much combat power left. Sitting on the floor, Rudolph stared at the candle light, and was about to experiment with the last resurrection. Wouldn't he kill himself? I wonder if the last Phoenix wizard was very curious, and whether he died because of his own bad temper. Rudolph mustered up his courage and poisoned himself again. This time he wanted a slow death, so that if he regretted it, he could still be saved. After all, it was the last resurrection. However, this time, he failed to sense the world after death. Rudolph's eyelids gradually became heavy, and his consciousness gradually blurred. Death was like the night, enveloping Rudolph's soul. Rudolph closed his eyes and fell into absolute darkness. I don't know how long it took, and I don't know what happened. Rudolph suddenly sat up from the ground, gasping for breath, with cold sweat on his head, and was very scared. The last resurrection was not like the previous ones. He completely lost consciousness after death. He had no choice for the ninth resurrection. Everything ran automatically according to a certain mechanism. He didn't know how long the interval between rebirths from the fire was, and he couldn't choose which flame to resurrect from. It seemed that he was reborn from the nearest candle flame. Everything was not chosen by Rudolph. This feeling of being out of control was so bad that Rudolph's back was soaked with cold sweat. This was the real fear of death, not the feeling of walking towards death recklessly because he knew he could be reborn. He hurriedly stood up from the ground and wanted to see if there was anything different around him, but suddenly found that his strength had returned to his body and his body functions had returned to the best state. After sensing the star power, he found that his star power limit had also returned to what a level 5 wizard should have. The ninth resurrection would make him completely restored to his original state. However, he was wrapped in a strong sense of uneasiness, and he was not happy at all because his state returned to the peak. Rudolph's figure disappeared from the round window, leaving the sound of a sonic boom outside the window. When Rudolph appeared again, he was already on the deck at the bow. He looked up at the star field of Phoenix. Only he could see that all the bright stars in Phoenix were completely dim. The other crew members were puzzled when they saw Rudolph's appearance. Miss Yvonne stopped others from greeting Rudolph. She felt that Rudolph seemed to be thinking about something extremely critical. Rudolph lay on the deck, looking at the starry sky and the Phoenix, hoping that things would turn around. His star power returned to its peak, but he lost the ability to be reborn from the ashes. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, nothing changed until 5 a.m., when the sky was turning pale. The sun was about to rise, and the stars in the sky were already sparse, and the light was covered by the sky. Rudolph still stared at the Phoenix star field motionlessly, hoping that a miracle would come. Don't be kidding, is there only 9 times for the Phoenix wizard to be reborn from the ashes? Did he waste all 9 chances of resurrection last night? When the Phoenix also disappeared under the light of the sky, Rudolph's mood became more and more depressed. When the sun rises from the sea level in the east, when the sun's rays shine on Rudolph, Rudolph suddenly sits up from the ground. The sky, which had originally turned blue and white, suddenly lights up 9 bright stars. That is Phoenix. It is Rudolph's Phoenix. The sun rises. Rudolph can suddenly mobilize the huge star power of Phoenix. Everything is back. Like the rising sun, Rudolph's body is uncontrollably ignited with golden flames, and the flames shine together with the morning glow. In the flames, Rudolph is reborn again. The clear sound of the Phoenix resounded through the Longboli volcanic island, and a golden Phoenix appeared at the bow. The sunbird, the immortal bird, Rudolph completed the most important rebirth from the ashes at the moment of the rising sun, and he got another 9 chances to be reborn from the ashes. At the same time, the Phoenix constellation was also lit up in Rudolph's star map. This was the first star field to be lit up besides the moon and the zodiac constellation. Unfortunately, lighting up the Phoenix constellation did not give Rudolph forbidden magic, which was really regrettable. It seems that only the 12 constellations have forbidden magic. The 12 zodiac constellations are the foundation of wizards. Level 9 wizards are called zodiac wizards. There are only 12 at most, one for each constellation. If one dies, one will be replaced. It is very cruel. I don't know if the position of the level 9 zodiac Scorpio wizard has been occupied. If it has been occupied, give it to Gateng. Although he is only a level 5 wizard now, Rudolph can't wait. The wizard's star power, which contains infinite mysteries. Rudolph breathed a sigh of relief. It was said that if he could only be resurrected 9 times, it would be too rubbish. It turned out that he could be resurrected 9 times a day. The most critical 10th resurrection must be an autonomous resurrection when the sun rises. If he is killed for the 10th time, he will die forever. So far, Rudolph's exploration of the Phoenix Wizard's ability has basically ended. /U003 Phoenix Wizard. Blood Flame Spiritualization, transform the body into Phoenix Golden Fire. Soul Flame Spiritualization, transform the soul into Phoenix Golden Fire. Maximum resurrection interval -3 minutes. Maximum resurrection distance -5 kilometers. Starting from the 4th resurrection, the star power limit and body function will lose a quarter. Starting from the 7th resurrection, the star power limit and body function will lose half. After the 9th resurrection, the star power limit and body function will return to the peak, and there will be no resurrection ability. When the sun rises, the ability to be reborn from the ashes will be refreshed. /U003E. This is much more comfortable. Rudolph stood at the bow, looking at the rising sun, feeling safe. After 5 years of traveling here, there is finally no threat to his life. He can finally face this strange world with a relaxed attitude. Mackenzie got up early. He watched Rudolph's most important rebirth from the ashes. Watching this wonderful scene up close made Mackenzie regret that he should have been bolder when he was a child and found a way to become a wizard. The ability of wizards is too amazing. Mr. Rudolph, are you practicing rebirth? Can rebirth be practiced? No, the battle last night left a scar on my calf. I didn't know it. I was reborn to remove the scar. Mackenzie didn't want to talk anymore. Who uses rebirth to remove scars? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 407. Feeling relaxed, Rudolph had the time and mood to sort out his gains. He obtained 3 level 5 relics last night. It is said that the appearance of each relic represents an apostle becoming a star in the sky. What a pity, the sky is full of stars. Rudolph contributed 3 more tonight. One of them is a duplicate, a level 5 relic, the white demonic light bead. The white demon priests always use light beads as props to perform magical arts, and pour the power of holy light into the light beads. The method of using the power of holy light is very simple, so most of the relics of the white demon priests are light beads of different levels. If Rudolph is allowed to be a priest, the church will definitely be reformed, and the white devil priest will be allowed to study other methods of using magic, so he can make more contributions after his death, right? The remaining 2 level 5 relics are in line with Rudolph's wishes, the level 5 Annihilated Priest relic and the level 5 Trapped Priest relic. The relic of the Trapped Priest, a level 5 trapped bag, this relic lit up the Theta star of Gemini, and the progress of Gemini reached 8/18. Among the suspended stars that fell from the Theta star of Gemini, Rudolph gave up 2 magic weapons and chose the only secret formula, the Reticulum secret formula. /U003 Nantian Reticulum block type. Astrology chart, reticulated hexagram. Main relic, level 5 trapped priest relic. Sub-relics, level 5 druid relics, level 5 pain priest relics. Ceremony location, the area directly under the reticulum seat, the Soludo River Mangrove Forest. /U003E. The reticulum is a tool for hunting birds and beasts. The main relic used in the reticulum seat secret method is the relic of the trapped priest. It is estimated that the ability of the reticulum seat wizard is mainly to restrain the enemy. This secret ceremony took place in the mangrove forest of the Soludo River. This is the parish of the Oblivion Church and is very dangerous. Be very cautious when going deep into the parish. If the priests get angry and look for evil spirits, and if they cannot defeat them, they call the parents, which will cause trouble. Divination is not enough. No matter how powerful the divination technique is, it cannot predict low probability events. The probability of a small probability event occurring is 5%, which means that there is at least a 5% chance that the divination will fail. The vast majority of people who drowned were able to swim, and the vast majority of Yanlings died from small probability events. Divination must not be distrusted, nor must it be fully believed. This is the first rule that every divination spirit needs to remember when embarking on the path of an apostle. The reticulum seat was already unfamiliar enough. Seeing the secret formula obtained for the next relic, Rudolph only felt that the ability of the Nantian wizard was really weird. The relic of the Oblivion priest, the level 5 ring of annihilation, this relic lit up the Gemini Lambda star, and the Gemini progress reached 9/18. Among the suspended stars falling from Lambda Gemini, Rudolph chose the Cypress secret. A pump is a device that draws water from the ground or a well, with the ability to pump water. The ability of the Nantian pump wizard is also related to extraction, but I don't know which aspect of extraction. /U003 Nantian pump seat seal type. Astrology chart, 6-pointed star with a pump. Main relic, level 5 obliterated priest relic. Sub-relics, level 5 plague relics, level 5 vampire relics. Ceremony location, the direct area of the pump stand, Boyle's hometown. /U003E. Boyle is a famous inventor in the Church of Trouble. He once vowed to make a better mechanical design than the alchemists. He is also an outlier among the priests of trouble. The name of this constellation is very rare, and its ability is also very mysterious. These two secret techniques are very rare. The rarer the ability, the harder it is to prevent it. I am very curious, but I still have to hold back and not be too reckless. The relic of the Annihilation Priest, the level 5 Ring of Annihilation, is one of the secondary relics needed for the secret form of the Southern Sky Water Serpent. Rudolph believes that he should first accommodate the characteristics of the water serpent that are most suitable for him. It was daylight, Rudolph was hungry and was going to find something to eat. When he turned around to search, he saw Cooper coming from a distance. Cooper's figure was bleak, his movements were slow, and he could not hide his fatigue. Behind him, 4 corpses carried a sarcophagus. He couldn't bear to give up the original body like this, and it seemed that he was going to keep it with him as a souvenir. After a break, black smoke rose from the volcano's chimney again, and the giant ship slowly set sail amidst the sound of its whistle. Destination: Sea of Floating Ice. Mackenzie suspected that Mr. Rudolph had never looked at the map. He said, "Mr. Rudolph, are you sure it's the Sea of Floating Ice?" "Confirm, the Floating Ice Sea is a secret place of water snake, and you must go there. It's a bit far, it will take about more than a month." "Why so far?" "Because the Floating Ice Sea is near the Antarctic continent, almost halfway around the southern continent, so it is very far." "Well, the thing I dislike the most about the ocean is that it takes a long time to get anywhere you want to go. Mr. Rudolph, when we left Port Navier, the iceberg came to pursue us. It was the ship of the Antarctic wizard Nelson. Now that we are near the Antarctic, Will we be targeted by the iceberg again? Don't be afraid, we are the volcano, and we will defeat the iceberg. From the name, everything is taken into account. Do you consider using this method? Mackenzie felt that his reminder was a bit redundant. Mr. Rudolph had just forced away 3 level 6 priests. He was so powerful that he had not seen it in more than 50 years. Phoenix Wizard. Mackenzie added, Mr. Rudolph, have you forgotten something? Forgot something? You have another island. Redbeard Island. Oh, it's okay. Kedrick must be on Redbeard Island now, holding my letter to meet with Salmon. Rudolph said very confidently, this is a good thing for Salmon. We don't have time to go back to Redbeard Island. If no one helps Salmon, Redbeard Island is full of pirates. He is only a level 3 alchemist and it is too difficult to manage. With the help of the Elba Royal Navy, he will be much easier. Mackenzie asked again, aren't you afraid that the Royal Navy will occupy our Redbeard Island? No, Kedrick is a smart man. He is more concerned about long-term interests and will not offend me because of an island. I still have this confidence. On Redbeard Island, a captain walked past Salmon arrogantly. Not only did he not say hello, but he raised a list, as if he was greeting the waiter in the tavern. I'll pick it up in the afternoon. You'd better do it quickly, butler. Salmon was very angry, but he couldn't get angry. The captain in front of him was the slave ship Captain Toynbee, a level 4 trapped priest. Although most of the ships in this port are pirate ships, these pirates have survived until now, and they have more or less connections with major forces. For example, Toynbee has an unclear relationship with the Church of the Trapped, and has been sending children and women collected by traffickers from the northern continent to the southern continent. This is also the reason why Redbeard Island has always existed. Everyone has some very shady behaviors, and they need to use the slightly shady name of pirates as a disguise. There is always a corpse of a level 5 painful priest standing behind Salmon. As the captains get to know the new port steward Salmon, they find that this priest corpse is very clumsy and cannot handle complicated things. As for the steward Salmon himself, he is only a level 3 alchemist. In front of a group of level 4 captains and even the occasional level 5 captains, he is very weak. This is a naked world of the survival of the fittest. A level 3 alchemist who wants to manage a port will definitely be looked down upon. Some captains want to pay less management fees, while others are simply bad. Don't underestimate the proportion of bad people. There are bad people among the masses, and there are still many. It was only because they were afraid that the island owner would come back that they did not tear each other apart. However, anything could happen on the sea. Perhaps the island owner had died in a shipwreck. Salmon did not look at Captain Toynbee's list, nor did he reply. He planned to delay for a few days and prevent him from using the warehouse in the port. He had to find a reason to establish his authority, otherwise the order in the port would soon disappear. Just as Captain Toynbee was waiting for Salmon's reply, someone suddenly ran to Salmon. Master General. 3 warships appeared in the open sea. They are warships of the Elba Royal Navy. Salmon was stunned, and he didn't even care about how to deal with Captain Toynbee. He frowned and walked towards the port. Toynbee was also shocked. How could a warship come here? Redbeard was very cautious when operating the port, and rarely offended official forces. Did the official forces also know that the port here had changed its owner? Did the Royal Navy have a grudge against the new owner, Green Skull? Under the gaze of the captains, the 3 warships waited for the guide boat and then docked according to the rules of the port. Judging from the situation, these warships have no intention of using force. Toynbee had long been hiding in the crowd, watching the warships entering the port in the distance. People kept shuttling in the crowd. They were the messengers of the captains communicating information. When Salmon saw Kedrick, he was a little unresponsive. He knew Kedrick. They had sailed together from the port of Coterie to the port of Navali before. Why is this noble young master wearing the uniform of a senior officer now? Looking at the brief and collar badge, he is still a lieutenant colonel of the Royal Navy. General Manager Salmon, the Royal Navy's Eastern Fleet has applied to enter the port and hopes to get your permission. A week later, Xuanhuan hurriedly walked to the castle, honestly presented gifts outside the castle, and waited for the port manager to receive him. There was a panic in his eyes that was difficult to hide. Even the guard thought that the captain looked frightened. Xuanhuan's source of information in the trapped church told him that the 6th-level high priest of the trapped church had just suffered a great loss at the hands of the owner of Redbeard Island. For unknown reasons, the Green Skull got together with a wizard and helped the wizard to be promoted to a level 5 wizard. More importantly, it was a level 5 Southern Phoenix wizard. He knew more information, not only the level 6 high priest of Trouble, but also 2 other level 6 priests, who were also helpless against the Phoenix Wizard and the Green Skull. When seeing Xuanhuan standing in front of him with his hat off respectfully, Salmon was still a little confused. Did 3 warships scare the slave trader like this? Do you know you are wrong? I know. Director Salmon. I kneel down for you. Please forgive me this time. Salmon was even more confused. Why did Xuanhuan really kneel down? Is Lieutenant Colonel Kedrick so deterrent? The church's information transmission is the most efficient, and the entire church can share information, so Xuanhuan is the first person to know about the Longboli volcanic island incident. Salmon did not embarrass Xuanhuan. He was doing port business and it was impossible for him to do anything to these captains. But after Toynbee left, Salmon went to Kedrick's room again, ready to thank Kedrick. This young master is not simple, too simple. The spread of various news from other places cannot affect the volcano sailing alone on the sea. Rudolph often stood on the deck, staring at the direction of the South Continent in a daze. The South Continent was like a black hole to Rudolph, a black hole he dared not go deep into. It is said that the evil god is lingering in the depths of the Southern Continent. Even if Rudolph speaks hard and shouts that the evil god is just a high-level apostle, it cannot change the fact that the evil god pinches him to death like squeezing an ant. There were strange footsteps behind him. Rudolph turned his head and saw Cooper walking towards him. Since Cooper lost his skeleton, he has given up on himself. He doesn't even wear the cloak with the burial spell, and his white skeleton is walking around. The new frame is much taller than Cooper's original frame, and his movements are not very coordinated, making him look clumsy. Cooper, please be careful about the impact and wear one piece at a time. Huh, this is not my body, how can I have so much shame? Just because you have no sense of shame, doesn't mean that others don't have any sense of shame. What do you mean, a skinny boy? Naked temptation? Vacuum photo shoot. Say something I can understand. Oh, I'm sorry, it's beyond the limit of your knowledge. Standing next to Rudolph, Cooper also looked towards the distance to the Southern Continent. Are you so anxious? You don't want to go back to Redbeard Island, but you want to go to the ice flow sea first. The volcano has left the Sarago Sea and entered the Winter Sea on the east side of the Southern Continent. The southern end of the Winter Sea is their destination, the ice flow sea. Rudolph returns. I'm very anxious. My current ability puts too much strain on my body. How to describe it? It's like having all the big moves but no small skills. Each ultimate move is very strong, but every time I use it, I will become a little weaker. The more I use it, the weaker it becomes. This feeling is very bad and is not conducive to a long-term battle. This resulted in every fight I fought feeling like a life-or-death battle, but not all enemies were worth the cost. I am a water wizard myself, but I got the nickname of Furnace, and now I am a Phoenix wizard. The Phoenix wizard is a soul wizard who is more of a fire wizard. I have been feeling hot and sweaty at night recently, and I need to quickly find a water sign to calm it down. Is this a reason for you and Yvonne to stay up at night? You're spying on me. No. I've never seen you and Yvonne having breakfast, you'd be wary of getting stoned. When Mackenzie saw Rudolph and Cooper on the deck, he quickly walked towards them, and they happened to be there to report together. Mr. Rudolph, Mr. Cooper, within a week we need to find a port to dock and replenish supplies. There is not enough coal to burn, and fresh water needs to be replenished. Next, we will enter the parish of the Church of Pain. The people in this place are physically disabled. Outsiders like us will be recognized at a glance, so we have to be more careful. Rudolph glanced at the current giant ship. Check again. The signs and other traces of the trapped church on this ship must be completely removed. Do not pretend to be the trapped church. Blasphemy will more easily attract the attention of the church. Understood. I'll arrange a checkup right away. Mackenzie did not approach the land rashly. Mr. Rudolph's fierce performance made Mackenzie dare not choose a large port on the shore. He chose a pirate port, similar to Redbeard Island, which was mainly a port where pirates gathered. The port where pirate ships were repaired and resupplied was very secretive and remote. When Rudolph entered the pirate port, he immediately began to feel physical discomfort. Those on crutches, those with missing arms, those without ears, those with their noses cut off. For atheists, many behaviors of followers of evil gods are incomprehensible. For those who believe in evil gods, atheists are miserable lambs and the walking dead without faith. The pirates here all defected from the parish of the Church of Pain. They were all circumcised by the Church of Pain when they were children. It is a church ritual that is very painful and cruel to normal people, in which certain parts of the body are cut off. It will be convenient to join the Church of Pain in the future. The will-o'-the-wisps in Cooper's eye holes jumped. After you rest, let's go quickly. When I see them, my hands hurt, my head hurts, my arms hurt, and my whole body hurts. This is an illusion, Cooper, you don't have it, you don't feel pain. Anyway, get out of here quickly. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 408. When the volcano, which was obviously larger than all the ships, entered the pirate port, the pirates stopped and observed this huge pirate ship. Which big pirate ship it is? It's almost the same as those regular warships of the Navy. The volcano only flew the volcano flag, with a black background and a dark red volcano erupting with an equally dark red mushroom cloud. The style was very simple. This flag is cruising the ocean for the first time, and there are not many stories on this ship. Therefore, other pirates do not know the details of this ship. It can be seen from the tall iron-armored hull and the level 5 alchemical reinforcement circle. The owner of the ship is not simple. To avoid trouble, neither Rudolph nor Cooper revealed their identities. Two port managers on crutches climbed aboard the volcano to inspect the ship. Mackenzie forced himself not to look at their ambush, but looked into their eyes and said, "The volcano requires supplies at your port, do it as soon as possible, don't delay." Mackenzie's tone is very bad. You can't be polite to these pirates. The tougher you are, the faster things will be done. Of course, there must be strength behind the toughness. In the name of the Green Skull, the pirate ship transformed from a huge warship is enough to make other pirates retreat. The two managers looked around, trying to get information about the ship, but unfortunately, they found nothing except a few ordinary crew members on the deck. After the ship was docked, it would take a day to complete the procedures and move the supplies out of the warehouse. Rudolph was ready to take a look inside the port. He entered the pirate port wearing a hood. This place is as dirty and messy as other pirate ports. Fists are the only order here. Several major pirates on the island form a violent deterrent balance. Rudolph was not interested in making friends with pirates here. What caught his attention more was the customs of the Church of Pain. Many pain priests have their cut-off parts made into specimens and hung outside their shops as a symbol of their status. Put it in a jar, air dry it, Soak it in oil, any method that can prevent corrosion can be used. There are also some who have given up on themselves and have some bones hanging on them. The folk customs here are even more violent. People with broken legs walk the most arrogantly on the road. If you bump into their shoulders, you will inevitably make a fuss or even fight. After observing several fights, I found that the fights eventually turned into protracted battles, with neither side hurting the other. Both sides resisted the fight and would not get up from the ground until they were tired. Not long after, Rudolph walked to the notice area in the center of the pirate island. The two photos in it surprised Rudolph. As expected of the Church of the Evil God, news is delivered quickly, and the temple quickly spreads the news to all churches with the help of an oracle-like ability. The portrait on the left shows a green skull. There is no doubt that this should be Cooper. The portrait on the right is actually me. It's a pity that a big red cross on my head affected my appearance. If anyone wanted to do some activities on the ship that arrived at the port today, they would almost go to the center of the pirate island, so there were waves of people whispering in front of the notice board. Have you heard? This is a wanted order from the church. Why haven't you heard about it? It is said that 2 level 5 priests died in the Holy Light Church, and 1 level 5 priest each died in the Artisan Church and the Church of Nothingness. They were all killed by these 2 people. 2 people? I think it's mainly the Green Skull. I heard the legend of the Green Skull when I was a kid. It was a big pirate who couldn't be killed even if several churches worked together. I think so. I wonder what this Green Skull's follower is capable of, and he can actually be on par with the Green Skull. Rudolph was not happy when he heard this. He said in the hood, no matter how powerful the Green Skull is, he was from 20 years ago. I think the young man next to him is the main force. The world belongs to young pirates, doesn't it? You know nothing. Every big pirate who has left his name doesn't have a ship or 2 of lives in his hands. The pirates I haven't heard of prove that he has no strength. Do you understand? Names of people on 1 or 2 ships, what unit of measurement is this? Rudolph was also dissatisfied. Look, doesn't this young man also have a title, Melting Pot? It sounds so domineering. The Furnace? Never heard of it? What kind of unknown person comes from a remote country? The title has nothing to do with the title itself, it also depends on the strength. If the title of Emperor Mogwen is Little Branch, then Little Branch means the strongest. Do you understand the combat power? Rudolph was so angry that he couldn't persuade him, so he had to look at other notice boards in a depressed manner. There were many hooded pirates like Rudolph, so no one noticed him. He saw some information that could be disclosed on other notice boards. A warning: an alchemist in the northern continent smuggled 3 airships, and the big pirate squid launched a plunder on them. The plunder failed, but 1 pirate ship was lost. A priest of the Redemption, Pain, Church issued a warning through an intermediary. If there are pirates who covet the smuggling airship again, the Redemption Church will mobilize the church's power to attack. Looking at this warning, Rudolph was a little confused. The alchemist actually brought his business to the southernmost tip of the southern continent. It was really commendable. An announcement: recently, the Redemption, Pain, Church is purchasing coal on a large scale. Pirates, please be careful not to sell coal cheaply and raise the price together. Anyone with a price lower than 1 silver shield per ton will be attacked by other pirates. A lot of intelligence is hidden in public information. Rudolph believes that the Church of Pain is preparing for war. The target is certainly not another church, the ore trade, or the training of war airships. These are all targeting the forces in the northern continent. Among the many messages, Rudolph also saw a name that surprised him: the iceberg will return to the Antarctic waters next week to remind all pirates not to provoke the Antarctic wizard Nelson. The iceberg, the ship of the ancient Sea Wizard Association, once chased Rudolph in the Sarago Sea. I didn't expect that his reputation here is so high. Just passing by can make other pirates retreat on their own initiative. He is much more famous than his furnace. After the supply was completed, the volcano left the port. Mr. Rudolph, if I'm not mistaken, you are very disappointed. Facing Mackenzie's question, Rudolph sighed, I thought someone would come to make trouble, but I didn't expect that the pirates were so peaceful. Are all pirates so kind now? Mr. Rudolph, if you want to fish, I suggest turning off the level 5 alchemical reinforcement array next time. The pirates will be much bolder than now. The level 5 alchemical reinforcement array, with the nature of the alchemist, is ridiculously expensive. A set of level 5 alchemical reinforcement array is enough to buy a smaller single-cylinder steamship. The pirates are just bad, not stupid. They can get a level 5 alchemical reinforcement array, and it is a warship-style ship, which is obviously not easy to mess with. Is that so? Is it too late to turn off the alchemical reinforcement array now? The volcano slowly left the port, and it was obviously too late. The floating ice sea is close to the Antarctic continent, and the temperature here is getting lower and lower. Mackenzie kept reminding others of the precautions for sailing in the floating ice sea. Slow down. Be careful of the large floating ice on the sea surface, conduct regular reconnaissance, and be careful of the icebergs that are not exposed under the sea surface. Entering the floating ice sea, the speed of the volcano became very slow. If it were not for Mr. Rudolph's request, Mackenzie would definitely not choose this route. Pieces of floating ice drifted slowly, the sea surface was cut by floating ice, and tiny waves gently hit the side walls of the floating ice, occasionally knocking down a piece of ice. The volcano hit the floating ice, and the huge hull smashed the floating ice. Rudolph stood at the bow, and an ice crystal was like a mirror, reflecting Rudolph's appearance in the ice crystal. The abilities of wizards are always so strange. Dozens of miles away, on a pure white ship, the Antarctic wizard Nelson raised his white eyebrows, and the whole person was like a melting ice cube. An even colder momentum made the crew around him shiver. The Antarctic wizard stood up from the chair wearing a white bear fur coat. This white bear fur coat is Nelson's treasure, because it is made of polar bear fur coat, and it is not easy for him to go to the Arctic. Notify the Church of Pain that the furnace has appeared in the floating ice sea. A priest returned to the cabin assigned to him by the iceberg. He came to the statue of the painful evil god and prayed to the pain with iron nails all over his body. Faith is like a giant net, countless believers are nodes, and the great evil god stands in the center of the giant net. The priest prayed to the superior priest with divine magic, and the superior priest quickly learned the information through prayer, and he passed the information to the higher level priest. Finally, the news of the appearance of the furnace was put in front of Baz, the level 6 pain priest. In order to get the help of the wizards, Baz promised the wizards to hunt witches, and the target of the witch hunt was Rudolph the furnace. However, Baz hesitated at this time. The three churches in the north, the Holy Light, White Magic, the Artisan, Straightened, and the Nothingness, Oblivion, Church, all suffered at the hands of the furnace. Nelson should know this. Why does he still hunt witches? Does he have some methods against Rudolph the furnace? The Church of the Evil God has an instant communication capability that transcends the times, and this news was quickly transmitted in the major temples. Baz received a reply from Wright, the level 6 white magic priest. If there is a chance, if the wizards really have a way to deal with the Phoenix Wizard, then they can give it a try. They can't do anything with the Phoenix Wizard, but it doesn't mean that the wizards can't do anything with the Phoenix Wizard. Wizards know wizards better. The three churches in the north are willing to make certain resource exchanges to subsidize the Church of Pain's witch hunt. After hesitating, Baz decided to meet Nelson first. Level 5 South Sky Swordfish Wizard SWO, 2 Level 5 White Magic Priests, 1 Level 5 Trapped Priest, and 1 Level 5 Oblivion Priest. Since the first time I heard the name of the Crucible Rudolph, So many level 5 apostles have died in the hands of the crucible without knowing it. Every famous wizard has blood on their hands. But Rudolph will not blame himself for this. He just thinks that there are too many bad guys and there are not enough wizards like him. As it goes deeper into the floating ice sea, the speed of the volcano is getting slower and slower. A week later, the ships of the Church of Pain have reunited with the iceberg outside the floating ice sea. Antarctic wizard Nelson boarded the flagship of the Church of Pain. He saw the priest of pain who was missing an eye and had no artificial eye, and his pus-filled eye hole was exposed. Level 6 pain priest, Baz, used yellow and black pus to please the priest of pain every moment. There was a stench from the pus, but the air temperature here was very low, so the stench was still bearable. If Baz went to Saragosse, then Baz's pus would make people within 10 meters vomit. Baz stared at Nelson with his one eye, but Nelson was not afraid. The Wizard Association also had a level 6 wizard, so he didn't need to shrink back. Nelson, do you know that the Crucible has been promoted to a level 5 wizard? Yes, Nelson certainly knew about the joint wanted order of the 3 northern churches. Do you know that the Crucible has become the Southern Phoenix wizard? Yes. Then are you still going to hunt witches? Nelson was very confident. Priest Baz, we all know that no apostle is invincible, and everyone has ways to restrain their abilities. The Phoenix wizard is a fire wizard, and I am a water wizard who masters extreme cold. The opportunity to meet the legendary Phoenix wizard is very rare. I think I can prove that the Phoenix wizard is nothing more than this in the face of extreme cold. If Rudolph were here, he would definitely think Nelson was a fool. The Phoenix wizard is obviously a soul wizard. Nelson continued. The Nantian swordfish wizard of our wizard guild died at the hands of the forge, and the 4 level 5 priests of your god's religion also died at the hands of the forge. We have a common goal in this matter and can fully cooperate. This hunt witch queen, our wizards will take away the secret formula of the South Sky Phoenix, and you can also take back the flagship of the Craftsman Church. There is just one thing that needs to be discussed again. I hope you can hand over Rombolus Volcanic Island to us. Baz wanted to remind him, but he felt Nelson was a little too confident. He knew Wright. Wright was a priest deeply favored by the Lord of Holy Light. Wright was very capable. If Wright suffered a loss at the hands of the furnace, he didn't think he was much better than Wright. But seeing Nelson's confident look, Baz felt that Nelson must know some ways to restrain the Phoenix wizard. The Ronbali volcanic island mentioned by Nelson has gone from being an active volcanic island that no one cares about and hiding away, to an important island related to the promotion location of the Phoenix wizard. Baz said, it's too early to talk about the ownership of Longboli volcanic island. That island is now in the hands of the Holy Light Church. They will take good care of it. If our cooperation goes smoothly, we will really build a temple on the land of the Elba royal family. Then that island can also be temporarily open to the Ancient Sea Wizards Association. Speaking of this matter, Nelson suddenly became very angry. The morally despicable wizard of the Forge, his despicable behavior of exposing secret key information to other apostles completely cut off the opportunity for others to accommodate the characteristics of the Phoenix. He has aroused the wrath of wizards, and his notoriety will always make him the hatred of other wizards. Public enemy. He is the public enemy of wizards. As far as Baz knows, the Wizarding Society firmly controls secret locations such as the Doratus Wizard, the Water Serpent Wizard, the Vila Wizard, and the Antarctic Wizard, etc., and prevents others from getting involved. For this reason, Nelson is even more stationed in Antarctica and shouldering important responsibilities. But Baz was not interested in these. He asked. So, Nelson, what is your witch hunting plan? Is it feasible? Nelson stepped forward to elaborate, but was prevented by the stench of yellow-black pus. It would be rude to step back, so he suppressed his nausea and revealed his plan. Baz listened carefully, and it seemed that it was possible, so he might as well give it a try. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 409. Priest Baz, before the witch hunt, I want to ask you a question. When the Church of the Gods dealt with the Green Skull, did they ever worry about the Green Skull's immortality? The evil God Church's annihilation of the Green Skull happened more than 10 years ago. It was a sensational event. Even now, many people can talk about the causes and consequences for half an hour when they mention it. The Green Skull went too far at that time and even burned down the temple, forcing several churches to take action. The immortality ability is very strong, but it is not impossible. The main force at that time was to trap the church. Those who could not be killed were imprisoned until death, and the effect was very good. Good. The Phoenix Wizard also has immortality, so why don't we trap the Phoenix Wizard until the day the winter ocean dries up, just like we trapped the Green Skull? The eastern sides of the northern continent and the southern continent both belong to the winter ocean. The ice floe sea is only a small sea area at the southernmost end of the winter ocean. It is impossible for the winter ocean to dry up. As long as the immortal Phoenix Wizard is trapped, life would be worse than death. Buzz understood what Nelson meant, and he couldn't help but add, I need to remind you that the Green Skull escaped from the prison where the priest was trapped. Any prison will have loopholes. Prison escape can fail countless times, but the prison guard can only make one mistake. Nelson said, it is true that the prison guard can only make one mistake. But after escaping from prison, the Green Skull has always been very peaceful. He stayed on the Sea Burial Island honestly and never set foot on the Sea Burial Island. I think he must be afraid. He knows that he is afraid. If he hadn't gotten involved with the Phoenix Wizard, the Green Skull would never have set foot on his Green Skull again. But it's too late to find a priest from the Craftsman Church now. Baz asked Nelson, do you have any means to trap the Phoenix Wizard? I think the Phoenix Wizard is weaker than the Green Skull. If Cooper heard Nelson's evaluation of him, he would be very excited. He also felt that Rudolph was weaker than him. Finally, someone had the same idea as him. Nelson met Baz's questioning gaze and said, the resurrection of the Phoenix Wizard requires flames. And I can restrain the flames. I can make all the flames in a certain area extinguish instantly. It is impossible for the Phoenix Wizard to be resurrected in front of me. Baz suddenly felt that there was a slight possibility. Nelson was the Antarctic Wizard, and the Antarctic constellation's ability was extreme cold. Maybe the Antarctic Wizard could really restrain the Phoenix Wizard. No matter how powerful an apostle is, he cannot fight alone, and his abilities may be restrained by others. The more powerful the apostle, the more people who have experienced the taste of power, the more afraid of death, so forming a huge force is the best survival strategy. Nelson motioned to his men to bring over the things they had prepared in advance. A piece of ice half as tall as a man was pushed over by Nelson's men. This was an enemy of mine when I was young. I am already 40 years old, and he is still the same as when he was young. It is really enviable. Inside the ice is a young man who has been frozen by Nelson for more than 10 years. The ice is crystal clear, the corpse is lifelike, and the fear before death is frozen on the face. Every time Nelson was in a bad mood, he would push this man out and admire his desperate look before his death. No matter how bad his mood was, he could get better. I have dozens of ice sculptures like this. Nelson has a very bad reputation around Antarctica. One of the reasons is that he likes to make ice sculptures. Anyone who provokes him will be made into ice sculptures by Nelson. In Nelson's lair, there is an ice sculpture trail. Anyone who goes to see Nelson will first see dozens of enemies beside the trail that Nelson has made into ice sculptures. Baz stared at the ice sculpture for a long time without saying anything. He thought of the conditions promised by the Church of Holy Light, the Church of Artisans, and the Church of Nothingness, and was very moved. The 4 level 5 priests were a huge loss to the 3 churches and a blow to the reputation of the 3 churches. They were willing to pay a considerable price in exchange for the heads of the furnace. One of the conditions is that after entering the royal territory of Elba, the Church of Pain can be the second to build a temple. This alone made Baz ready to take action. Okay, Baz finally made a decision. Nelson, the Antarctic wizard, I hope your ability can help us kill the Phoenix wizard. Nelson smiled. He was confident, professional, and restrained in his ability to kill the Phoenix wizard. It's not difficult. The same goes for the Green Skull. We can freeze him first so that he cannot be resurrected. There is no way these two people can leave Antarctica alive. After the discussion, the two ships headed for the ice floe sea. According to the information from the White Devil Church, the more ships the better when dealing with the Phoenix Wizard. More ships will have more flaws, which will easily give the Phoenix Wizard more chances to resurrect. Therefore, Baz only brought one ship. The iceberg is in front. This ship has ice-breaking capabilities and its bow has been specially treated. The ship of the Church of Pain followed, following the iceberg. Their speed must be faster than the Phoenix Wizard's ship, so they must be able to catch the Phoenix Wizard in the floating ice sea. Deep in the sea of floating ice, the volcano was also moving forward slowly. Rudolph looked up and tried to discern the position of the stars, but soon gave up. There are stars during the day, but the sun's rays are too strong and cover all the starlight. The sun is ejecting ultra-high-speed charged plasma outwards every moment, which is called the solar wind. During the day, the planet faces the sun directly and faces the solar wind. The solar wind will mask the cosmic radiation representing star power, so the wizard's abilities will be limited during the day. During the day, wizards mostly fight using the star power stored in their bodies. Not just wizards, most of the apostles cannot see the light. Only when they enter the darkness can the apostles become active. Rudolph waited patiently for the night to come and for the Hydra's secret to begin. In this world of ice floes, everything has become much quieter. When night fell, and Rudolph was preparing to fight to accommodate the characteristics of the Hydra, Pilot suddenly rushed out of the bridge room. Two ships were discovered at 9 o'clock. One is a ship of the Church of Pain, with the evil god's painful cross flag flying on it. The other is the iceberg. It is the iceberg of the Antarctic wizard Nelson of the Wizarding Society. Everyone looked at Rudolph, who said, "Couldn't he be here to capture the Green Skull? Why is it me by default?" Seeing that the others had no intention of diverting their attention, Rudolph had no choice but to spread his hands and said, "Don't be afraid, the ship's speed is very slow in the sea of ice floes, 10 knots, they have to walk for a while." A few minutes later, Pilot reported the observation results again. Iceberg has the ability to break ice. It is expected that we will meet in advance. But he didn't see Rudolph, and he didn't know where Mr. Rudolph had gone. 10 minutes later, Rudolph walked out of the cabin. I thought about it again and again, but I couldn't figure it out. Where did they get the courage? How dare they come to me? The divination results told Rudolph that unless there was an impossible event with a probability of less than 5%, he would not die tonight. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 410. The flame bat wings appeared behind Rudolph, and he flew away from the volcano in an instant. The flame bat wings were golden and bright in the night, making the crew on the volcano extremely envious. Pilot looked at Rudolph, who was flying away. I should have found a way to become a wizard at that time. Wizards are still very powerful. You only pay attention to wizards eating meat, but you don't pay attention to wizards being beaten? Just since we started with Mr. Rudolph, we have experienced so many witch hunts. Mackenzie said, I don't envy Mr. Rudolph at all, because I don't necessarily to survive so many dangerous witch hunts. That's true. Mr. Rudolph is really lucky. Rudolph landed on a huge ice floe, took out the starstone, and began to draw the water snake hexagram. Inside the hexagonal six-pointed star are 3 rings with complex patterns inside. \U003 Southern Sky Hydra Secret Type. Astrology Chart, Hydra Hexagram. Main Relic, Level 5 Water Wizard Relic or Level 5 Plague Vector Relic. Sub-Relics, Level 5 Druid Relics, Level 5 Annihilation Priest Relics. Ceremony Location, the area directly illuminated by the water snake, the sea of floating ice. \U003E. Rudolph placed 3 relics inside the ring of the 6-pointed star. The main relic is a level 5 water wizard relic from the southern sky swordfish wizard Xuanhuan. It is a swordfish starstone with a blue swordfish engraved on it. The first secondary relic comes from the natural disaster druid toned, a level 5 hurricane leaf, an emerald green leaf. The second secondary relic comes from an unnamed level 5 annihilation priest and a level 5 annihilation ring. There is always a black vortex inside the circular metal circle. The poor level 5 oblivion priest didn't deserve a name. Rudolph didn't even know who he should express his gratitude and guilt to. Rudolph looked up at the starry sky and looked in the direction of the water snake. There were shouts from time to time on the volcano, which was from Mackins arranging defenses. They stopped moving forward and had to wait for Rudolph to complete the secret formula. At the end of his field of vision, 2 black spots had appeared, which should be the iceberg and the Church of Pain ships that were chasing him. Rudolph estimated the time and decided to complete the secret formula first. Isn't this bullying an honest person by coming here to hunt for witches again and again? Kindness is a virtue, but it does not suit Rudolph. They are still too soft-hearted towards the wizards and the cult of gods. If they had been hurt a few more times, they would not have appeared in front of Rudolph so recklessly. In the starry sky, Hydra is a small constellation, occupying a small area of the star field. Rudolph merged his star power into the 6-pointed star at his feet. The star power swam in the starstone powder and went straight to the main relic, the level 5 swordfish starstone. The moment it came into contact with the star power, the swordfish pattern on the starstone suddenly came to life. The swordfish pattern began to twist, and a blue swordfish with starlight flew out from the starstone. The swordfish flew toward Rudolph, but when it hit Rudolph, it collapsed on its own and turned into a hazy, blue mist-like starlight. This starlight is the embodiment of the star power of a level 5 water wizard. Rudolph does not need a swordfish, he needs the star power of a level 5 water wizard. This star power floated above Rudolph's head. Rudolph raised his head and looked at the water serpent through the star power. All the bright stars in the constellation Hydra suddenly shine at this moment. On the iceberg, Nelson frowned. The furnace didn't even try to escape, but instead forcibly accommodated the characteristics of the water snake. The ancient sea wizards mastered the secret formula of the water serpent, so Nelson knew the star power of the water serpent wizard. I have to admire the courage of the furnace. He knew that he was being hunted but still wanted to complete the secret technique. Did he just want to lose one more relic? One southern constellation corresponds to one relic. At this moment, Nelson was a little excited. It seemed that he could harvest 2 relics tonight. Trapping the Phoenix Wizard was only a last resort. Nelson wanted to use extreme cold to destroy the Phoenix Wizard's resurrection ability and then kill him. It's just a water snake. It won't have any impact on the result. Nelson comforted the people around him. If Rudolph knew that he could drop 2 relics, he would definitely cherish his life even more. Let's not talk about whether he died or not. Taking advantage of others would be even worse than death. After the bright star Hydra shone in the starry sky, a huge star power began to gather above Rudolph's head. These star powers are like long snakes, coiling around in circles, but they just don't come, as if they are waiting for something. Rudolph knew that these star powers were waiting for the second and third relics. In the water serpent hexagram, Rudolph's star power passed through the starstone powder and entered the second relic, and starlight appeared on the Category 5 hurricane leaves. This leaf was wrapped in star power, spinning and floating. Around Rudolph, the air began to rotate slowly, the wind speed became faster and faster, and finally a tornado appeared. The tornado grew stronger and stronger until the wind blew outside the ice floe and onto the sea. When the tornado touches the seawater rotates with the tornado, and a vortex gradually appears. In the dark seawater, an emerald green light appeared. More and more green natural power was in the seawater, spinning together with the whirlpool. Attracted by the force of nature, sea snakes gather here from the bottom of the water. Long-snouted sea snake, green-gray sea snake, ringed sea snake, green-ringed sea snake, black-headed sea snake, sea viper, flat-tailed sea snake, spiny-canthid sea snake, spiny-scaled sea snake. These sea snakes swallowed seawater by the power of nature. On the sea surface next to the floating ice, there were at least 3,000 sea snakes gathered together. The sea snakes were densely packed, and their colorful skins representing venom almost dyed the surrounding sea area into a colorful appearance. The power of nature made the sea snake's body swell. The sea snake, which was already very scary, spit out its tongue, became thicker and longer. When the sea snake appeared, the star power that was circling like a long snake above Rudolph's head finally had a place to go. The vortex-shaped star power suddenly collapsed and rushed into each sea snake. After these star powers entered the sea snakes seemed to awaken, and they stood up one after another, looking up at the direction of the Hydra constellation, greedily swallowing the star power. The body of the sea snake swelled more and more. The original 1-meter-long sea snake even swelled to 3 meters. However, the elasticity of the sea snake's body has a limit. The scales on the sea snakes can't touch each other, and the pink snake meat is almost exposed. Until a certain moment, all the sea snakes can no longer absorb more star power. Starting from the first sea snake, the body suddenly exploded, and the flesh and blood were like foam. Only the translucent sea snake with blue starlight was left on the spot. The sea snake was free of the burden of the body. It left the sea water and wandered in the tornado. One after another, the sea snakes exploded, leaving behind blue starlight sea snakes, which merged densely into the tornado. Thousands of starlight sea snakes formed a huge, dandelion-like spherical barrier around Rudolph. The diameter of this barrier even exceeded that of the volcano, which stunned everyone on the volcano. People on the ship speculated that so many starlight sea snakes would be Rudolph's weapons in the future. These starlight water snakes reminded everyone on the volcano of the starlight swordfish of the South Sky swordfish wizard. Those swordfish had extremely powerful attack power and could confront the level 5 knight head-on without losing. Nelson also saw the starlight sea snakes on the iceberg approaching in the distance. Only wizards know wizards best, and there is only one last step left to the end of the Hydra secret. Rudolph poured star power into the third relic, the level 5 Annihilation Ring. After the star power reached the Annihilation Ring was driven by the star power and flew towards Rudolph's fingers. The black vortex in the middle of the Annihilation Ring represents the ultimate power of annihilation. It is a small black hole. Anything that enters the black hole will be swallowed by the black hole. If Rudolph rashly puts his finger into the Annihilation Ring, his finger will definitely be swallowed by the black hole. The next moment, all the starlight sea snakes rushed to the Annihilation Ring like returning to their nests. When the first starlight sea snake entered the Annihilation black hole, the black hole did not change at all. The black hole was like a bottomless pit, swallowing all the sea snakes into the metal ring. At first, they swallowed one by one, then 2 or 3 at a time, and then, the starlight sea snakes rushed into the Annihilation Ring as if there was no collision volume. With the entry of the sea snakes, the black vortex quickly turned blue under the transformation of the star power. When all the starlight sea snakes entered the Annihilation Ring was completely transformed by Rudolph and became a blue vortex. This ring-shaped ring of annihilation finally turned into a green-ringed water snake biting its own tail. Rudolph put on the ring and suddenly realized that if he died, this water snake ring would be his lost relic. This is not auspicious. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 411. Baz is not a wizard, he doesn't know what happened specifically. The strange phenomenon on the ice floe in the distance gave him a bad feeling. Starlight materialization, these are the characteristics of a level 5 wizard, that is to say, the Phoenix wizard may have the characteristics of the second southern constellation. He looked at the iceberg in front of him, wondering what Nelson was doing, dawdling, isn't this a special increase in difficulty? Nelson, who was just dreaming of collecting 2 level 5 relics at a time, is now a little uneasy in his heart. Is he a little too arrogant? Long white eyelashes completely cover his eyes, making it hard to figure out what Nelson is thinking. Nelson suddenly realized a problem. When did the furnace collect 3 more level 5 relics? Nelson knew which 3 of the 3 level 5 relics of the Hydra. Swordfish Wizard SWO died in the hands of the furnace, and SWO's relics now belong to the furnace. The relics of the Oblivion Priest may come from the battle between the Oblivion Church and the furnace on the Longboli volcanic island. But what about the Druid relics? Nelson suddenly remembered the Scourge Druid Tornad who had contacted him. For some reason, Tornad disappeared later, and Tornad did not tell Nelson where he was going. It seems that Tornad also died in the hands of the furnace. At this moment, Nelson felt the fear and hatred of the other apostles towards the wizard. It took less than a year from the rise of the furnace Rudolph to the inclusion of the 2 South Sky constellation secrets. In 1 year, 6 level 5 apostles died, which was so crazy that it was exaggerated. Rudolph did not return to the volcano. After completing the secret, he stood on the ice floe and looked at the 2 ships in the distance. Level 5 Antarctic Wizard, and a ship of painful priests. Rudolph can broaden his knowledge and master new secret knowledge. Learning makes me happy, and being addicted to learning is being addicted to happiness. Rudolph stroked the water snake ring on the index finger of his left hand, and waved his left hand. A dark blue vortex appeared in front of him, and a blue-ringed sea snake suddenly emerged from the vortex. This sea snake is 10 meters long, as thick as a bucket, and translucent throughout, composed of starlight. The snake's pupils are as black as a black hole, and the olive-colored snake is covered with blue ring-shaped markings. The starlight sea snake excitedly circled around Rudolph. Rudolph reached out and touched the head of the water snake, and the tentacles felt cold. The starlight water snake rubbed Rudolph's palm intimately, then crawled to the edge of the floating ice, drilled into the sea water, and disappeared. After drilling into the sea water, the starlight water snake completely merged into the sea water. The natural characteristics of the druid played a role. Except for the 5th level druid, no one could find the starlight water snake lurking in the sea water. When the starlight water snake lurks deep enough, the ring-shaped pattern on its body suddenly lights up, and beams of light appear around the starlight water snake. These beams contain huge star power, and thousands of starlight water snakes of different sizes emerge from the beams. These starlight water snakes are as big as 10 meters long, and as small as less than half a meter. Thousands of starlight water snakes set out from the depths of the sea and swam towards the 2 enemy ships. At this point, Rudolph finally had a small skill that could test the enemy's intelligence, without burning his blood right away. Not all enemies are worth fighting for, as if their lives are worthless. Nelson had a headache. He knew a South Sky water snake wizard, who was difficult to deal with. Snakes are born with the ability to hide and ambush. He knew that Rudolph the Furnace had released the starlight water snakes, but he could not catch the traces of those starlight water snakes. But he also had a way. Nelson suddenly shouted, "Slow down. Drop anchor." He patiently waited for the iceberg to slow down to the minimum speed until it stopped and dropped anchor. After seeing the iceberg slow down and drop anchor, the Church of Pain ship following behind also slowed down and made the same response as the iceberg. Nelson jumped off the iceberg and stood on a floating ice. He pressed his hand on the floating ice. With this floating ice as the center, the surrounding sea water quickly froze. The sea surface was crackling and freezing rapidly, which made people's scalps numb. The sea water at the bottom of the ship also froze. The sea surface around the iceberg quickly changed from dark blue to white, freezing the iceberg on the ice surface. After waiting for a long time, Nelson slowly stood up, very confused. He did not wait for the starlight water snake in the ice layer he created. Rudolph knew that the Antarctic wizard Nelson was a water wizard, so his target was not the iceberg. A 10-meter-long snake went around the iceberg in front of it from the bottom of the water and came to the bottom of the Church of Pain ship. The sea snake looked up at the black shadow on the sea, which was the bottom of the ship. The sea snake slowly twisted its body upwards and floated to the bottom of the ship. It opened its mouth, and there was a small annihilation black hole in its mouth. The snake's eating is to swallow the witch hunter in one bite. The relics of the annihilation priest in the secret formula give the starlight water snake the ability to swallow the witch hunter into an endless abyss. The moment the annihilation black hole touched the hull, the alchemical reinforcement array on the hull suddenly flashed. There was a flash of light in the back, and Nelson hurriedly turned his head to look back, but it was too late. The copper wire on the Church of Pain ship was like burning red, proving that there was a very high-level attack, and it was destroying the alchemical reinforcement array. The annihilation black hole in the mouth of the starlight water snake comes from the relic of the level 5 annihilation priest, and its attack is equivalent to the black hole of the level 5 annihilation priest. In addition, the flexibility of the snake makes the swallowing black hole more flexible. Countless water snakes rushed to the bottom of the ship. Starlight water snakes used up their star power and disintegrated in the sea water. However, the starlight water snakes soon found a breakthrough. One of the starlight water snakes bit out a hole as big as a bucket, and the board it bit off disappeared into the black hole. There was a hole in the bottom of the ship, and sea water poured in instantly. Countless starlight water snakes rushed in with the sea water. The long snakes went straight to the panicked painful priest, and the short snakes drilled into the door crack, the pipe, and the ceiling. The tall snake body stood up, opened its mouth and smashed down. The first priest who faced the starlight water snake was swallowed by the water snake directly. Without any resistance, the priest disappeared into the annihilation black hole. The level 5 painful priest in charge of the lower cabin hurried to the scene of the accident. Just as he was about to deal with the 10-meter-long snake, a half-meter-long small snake suddenly fell from the vent behind him. The little snake landed on the follower of the level 5 priest, and the sharp snake fangs bit the follower's neck. After a brief twitch, the follower turned purple all over and was poisoned to death. There was no reaction ability at all. The concealment ability enhanced by the druid relic made the starlight water snake like air, extremely difficult to be discovered. The first trace of poison took effect, and Rudolph in the distance couldn't help it. A trembling moan made Rudolph orgasm in his brain. Finally! Rudolph finally used the poison again. The whole body is comfortable. Unconsciously straightened his waist, and the muscles of the whole body tightened and then slowly relaxed. It's still the water phase poison ability that matches me better. I have been constipated for using the fire phase ability for the past few months. This silky killing ability, silent and silent, poisoning means death, this is the Scorpio wizard. The low-level priests died in the cabin one by one, even the level 5 priest was bitten by a finger-long snake that drilled out of the floor. The poison began to spread from the ankle, and the eyes of the level 5 pain priest instantly turned purple, but his strong endurance prevented him from losing his ability to move. He completely abandoned the cabin and fled upwards in embarrassment. Unfortunately, some people would not let Rudolph enjoy himself for long. Level 6 Pain Priest Bez and Antarctic Wizard Nelson had already rushed towards Rudolph. Rudolph was just confused. Didn't they know that he was a Phoenix Wizard? Why did they go against him if they couldn't kill him?